and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another round of the NXTGEN Season 4, as brought to you on the Premier Sim Racing platform, available only on PC, known as iRacing, and sponsored by Higgins Automotive. Indeed, this is the series that continues to push the question, who is the master and mistress of the front-engine, front-wheel drive touring car racing class car machine? And as our drivers all get ready to go racing today, the rounds are running out in order to answer that question. Indeed, only 3 rounds remain, and today marks round 8 of 10, and we are here in Japan for the inaugural running of the Twin Ring Motegi circuit in the Tochigi Prefecture of Japan. And what a circuit this is, and what a very different circuit is going to be compared to the circuits that our drivers are used to, in the fact that this circuit features a combination of hairpins and straights of varying lengths, and therefore it leads to a style of stop-start racing which many of our drivers may not be acquainted with, given the fact that typically over the course of the seasons thus far, whether it be season 4 or the preceding 3 seasons, we have seen the races very heavily focused instead around flying corners and indeed flying circuits, and therefore momentum-based racing. But here it's all going to be about being bold on the brakes and also rapid on the rotation through the corner apexes if you want to come out on top, and who is going to be the one to be able to achieve that? That is the big question. But as we get ready to go racing today, let's take you through our schedule. Times in British summertime, that's BST, or Universal Coordinated Time +1, UTC +1, and as we can see in approximately 19 minutes time, we're making our way onto circuit for our qualifying session of the day, 15 minutes in duration with all drivers out of the circuit, all looking to go for pole position. And whilst overtaking is going to be important here, also taking track position is going to be key, and indeed it may lead to some critical success. After that, we'll be going straight to our grid for our first race of the day, with all 3 of our races being sprint races of 11 laps in duration, the first of which will be at 8:15 this evening, after which we'll take a brief breather before returning for our second race of the day, and that will be at 9 o'clock this evening, and our final race of the day will be at 10:45, albeit not without a brief breather and that all-important reverse grid draw for the purposes of race number 3. This broadcast is being brought to you live from circuit side via 3 media platforms for your viewing pleasure. The first one is, of course, via the official NXTGEN Racing YouTube channel, and welcome to you guys and girls tuning in via YouTube. We say hello to you via youtube.com if you do search for NXTGEN Racing. We also do have the official broadcast being brought to you on the official Facebook channel of NXTGEN. Indeed, that is the NXTGEN Racing Facebook group. That's at facebook.com/groups/NXTGEN Racing. And hello to you guys and girls tuning in via Facebook. And lastly, we do have a third media channel available. That's the unofficial broadcast, which is being brought to you on twitch.tv/TX141. And you may be asking, who is TX141? Well, firstly, let's say hello to you guys and girls tuning in via Twitch. But TX141, well, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Paul Walsh, also known as TX141 or Brit of the Spit, depending on what media you follow me on. And I'll be bringing you all your racing action over the course of today and indeed the entirety of the season. And well, as the rounds wind down, indeed, what a season it's been thus far, and we've still got plenty to go. And let's take you through that calendar. Or as we can see, we started off all the way back on the 8th of August at the Monza circuit, but today is the 10th of October in Japan. But going back to the very beginning then, when we started off in Italy, we got to see some brilliant racing from the outset, and in particular at the Monza circuit, we ran without the first chicane of the Grand Prix circuit, and therefore our cars reached their maximum top speeds. We got to see a 1-2 battle in the first 2 races of the day between Doble Sim Racing and BT Motorsport, with both teams taking a respective 1-2 in each of the races. However, further down the order, it was bumps aplenty between our prime drivers in the Higgins Automotive Championship. We got to see many a favourite end up having some difficulty, and those who are rising through the ranks and making their debut, such as the drivers of Full Tilt V Motorsport, picking up some key points. Then in round number 2, we made our way to the 15th of August to the Stetson 300 circuit in the United Kingdom, and with a visit to the Norfolk circuit, we got to see our drivers there pick up the pace in a classic touring car racing class circuit, in the fact that our drivers had to deal with the infield with all of its technical corners, but also the outfield with its longer straights and also its flying corners there, and where it's all about the bumps and scrapes, and Dan Mould really delivering in the Pro class in the overall championship. And meanwhile in the Prime class, we got to see Matthew Addy turn around some bad luck with a very late surprise in race number 3 of the day, and a great win as well, adding his name to that limited list of primes who've taken an overall win. And then in our third round of the season, we made our way to the United States of America for the first time to the Road America circuit, and then we got to see our drivers there definitely get their elbows out in what was a round or set of races to remember on the 22nd of August. Indeed, it was championship drama at the front of the field with Doble Sim Racing, particularly Mikey Doble having a difficult day at the office. Meanwhile, Joseph Doble having a great day in the Prime class. It was Isaac Doble who really delivered on the centre stage. And then round number 4, to wrap up the first component of the season, we got to see our drivers take on the Fuji International Speedway, and the first time of which we visited the Japanese circuit. And well, on the 29th of August, we got to see many a driver shine, but perhaps the most notable one being the performance-linked esports driver of Russell Fowler, who absolutely delivered with a sensational win, particularly in the final race of the day. Then we had our mid-season break, the first 2 mid-season breaks, before return for round number 5 on the 12th of September. And then at the circuit Jules Villeneuve in Montreal, many of our drivers found themselves rubbing the wall, and nobody ended up falling too foul of the wall of champions over the 3 races. But we got to see some standout performances up and down the field, and Dan Mould once again absolutely delivering in the pro class. And then in round number 6, we made our way to the Dutch circuit, a circuit Zandvoort recently relayed and rescanned for iRacing. And we got to see our drivers take on the heavily cambered corners of the Dutch circuit on the 19th of September, and while many incidents where 2 wide did not go into 1 wide, particularly on the flow out of turn number 4 all the way out towards turn number 7, and there were quite a few safety cars there. Then we had our second mid-season break, and last time out on the 3rd of October, we returned to continue the story and do the final component of the season, the final stage, if you will, with Circuit Zolder, everybody's second favourite Belgian circuit playing host. And at Circuit Zolder, we've got to see many a driver there have to try and find their way through the tricky chicanes of the course, and it has led to quite a complicated championship situation, as we'll come to very shortly. With today being round number 8 at the Twin Ring Motegi circuit. After today, we've got 2 rounds to go, and they will include the penultimate round of the week's time on the 17th of October at the Willow Springs Raceway Circuit in California in the US of A. It'll be the first time drivers will be taken to the Willow Springs Raceway Circuit. I can tell you one thing, if you're looking for a fast-playing circuit where it's going to feel as though it's NASCAR, meets next-gen racing, meets touring car class racing, well, it is going to be your ticket, because that circuit will have one of the highest average lap speeds over the course of the season, only being beaten by the Monza circuit in the season opener. And then we bring it all to a close with round 10 of 10 on the 24th of October, and what a way to bring things to a close with the question of who will be the king or the queen of the mountain at Mount Panorama Raceway in Australia, but you will know and love it referred to as Bathurst in reference to the local township, and that's where we'll bring the curtain down and crown our champions 2 weeks from now. Speaking of champions and speaking of championships, let's give you an update on the championship standings after 7 rounds of racing. And we start off with the overall championship, and as we can see, the top 2 are separated by only 3 points. Last week it was Mikey Doble leading the way. This week it's Joseph Doble who leads the way, after Mikey having some difficulty at Circuit Zolder compared to his brother, and Joseph Doble squeezing his way back ahead, but it's by a slim margin. You could say it started to become a 2-way fight in the championship, with the fact that Dan Mould right now sits a further 66 points behind. However, don't count out the pro driver, indeed the remainder of the rival field inside that top 10, for the simple reason that whilst they may be quite some way away currently, at the same time it only takes 1 round and a major set of results to see a driver jump their way back up the order, given the fact that a driver can easily accrue the best part of 75 to 100 points over the course of a given round if everything goes the right way for them. So therefore, the top 2 of the Doble Sim Racing drivers, they'll be eager to get an advantage of one another, but they'll also be keen to try and keep the rest of the pack away. But Dan Mould, on the other hand, will be looking to try and get as close as possible and looking to really make a resurgence in this fight, given the fact the last couple of rounds he's been consistent, but he hasn't quite picked up those standout results perhaps that he would like to have done so. But meanwhile, behind the SRL driver, Kieran Sharp in P4, the Sim Racing Collective driver, a further, 27 points behind, and he's only got a 13-point advantage over Jamie Dory, who completes the top 5, and it's 4 points to Andrew Pike in P6, and you can see how the Sim Racing Collective really started to come on strong in the second half of this season, with one of the drivers inside the top 5 and another one knocking on the door. Now a further 5 points behind is Gavin Gardner, the ever-consistent Audi RS3 driver, who's had some bad luck over the last couple of rounds, and he'll be looking to right the wrongs of that bad luck before it gets too late. And there's John Higgins Jr. in P8 there, the third, of the Sim Racing Collective drivers inside that top 10, and he's continued to go from strength to strength, and a good set of results last time out at Circuit Zolder, continuing that good run of form. It's then Benjamin McCluskey at P9 there, the pro driver, 438 points. Quite a way off of the top 8 right now, but trying to steer clear of Nick Clemens, who's your leading pro driver in the overall championship. Well, as we can see there, Clemens only a further 21 points behind, and looking to try and keep the hunt on there and hold on to the lead of the pro class in the overall standings. But with Clemens being the only one to take success ballast into qualifying in the first race of the day, Matthew Addy, meanwhile, in P11 there, a further 10 points behind. He'll be grateful to be best of the rest and know that the pressure is still on, given the fact that the fortune continues to shine his way, but he will be looking for some major points here today. He's only got a 5-point advantage over Alan McCain, with the iRacing Esports driver having good favours coming his way, much like Nick Clemens, and therefore the iRacing Esports team right now absolutely buoyant and continue to rise up through the ranks. There's Isaac Doble, Lee Horner, and Reese White complete your top 15, albeit Isaac Doble 379 points. He's the best part of 23 points of Alan McCain. Some bad luck has hit Isaac Doble recently, and he'll be looking to turn that frown upside down, as will Lee Horner and Reese White, as they continue to try and charge their way in towards the top 10. Russell Fowler, P16. The drivers perhaps inherited the most bad luck in the second half of the season after what was a great end to the first half of the season, and therefore we are expecting a charge back from the performance of the esports driver, and he is the best part there of what is, I do believe, 69 points ahead of Paul Scott in P17, with then Ian Mellors, Bevan Thompson, and also Alex Meredith complete, well, Bobby Thompson, I should say, not Bevan Thompson, my apologies, and then Alex Meredith completing your top 20. We then have outside the top 20, what is in P21, Matthew Sheraton on 221 points, 6 points clear of Luke Jones, with Shane Piggott, Ben Altrier, and Michael Lees completing your top 25. Stephen Daly, P26 at 182 points, only behind Lees by a single point, but meanwhile having a good advantage of 15 points over Mark Sykes. Then Josh Middleton at P28 over Adam Delman, and Bernardo Colby completes your top 30. Jack Southfield P31 I should say, there on 97 points, 6 points off of Bernardo Colbabe. There's Jonathan Collins P32 ahead of Ian Wild, with Neil Ferrier and Dan Holland round off the top 35. There's Wayne Douglas, Lucas Colch, Dan Lewis, Mark Kent, and then Daniel Fritz completing your top 40. And outside the top 40, not to be forgotten about, we can see it's Josh Brown ahead of Giorgio Belay, Andrew Holmes, Costa Chatscontinentino, James Affleck, Chris Rance, Jake Pitt, Jonathan Cook, James Pascal, and Ben Shilstra. But now we come onto the Higgins Automotive Pro-Am Championship for this season, and when all the points are adjusted here for the finishing positions of the Pro-Am drivers respected to one another, well, it's a very different picture. Reece Watt has found his way back to the top of the standings, and well, how the tides are turning here for the JW Motorsport driver. Only a few weeks ago, we were talking about the fact that Reece Watt was the unluckiest driver of them all, and well, if you want a round to look at in order to understand how unlucky Reece Watt is, take a look back at the races at Fuji, where it all went wrong before he even got to turn one in the first race of the day, after a phenomenal pole lap. But Reece Watt now not one to be dismayed by misfortune, and 14 points clear of Lee Horn. However, Watt will not be on the grid today. Unfortunately, he can't make it, and therefore Lee Horn has a golden edge opportunity to try and take the lead and extend it as far as he possibly can before Watt returns next week. Matthew Addy in P3 on 684 points. He's also in the hunt versus the top two here, with a gap is only 22 points and 4 points advantage over Nick Clemens, who in P4 on 680 points is only 1 point ahead of Russell Fowler. Now Russell Fowler's fallen to P5, the lowest he's been for some time, and whilst the gap there between himself and championship leader Watt is the best part of 41 points, he'll be thinking that he can turn things around in the Audi RS3, but he's got to be aware of the fact that Hyundai Elantra of Alan McCain is only behind by 10 points, and there's another 10 points to Isaac Doble, with Paul Scott really marking then a 90-point gap to P8, and well, currently looking to be the best of the rest outside the top 7 battle, and he's only got what is a 18-point advantage over Ian Manners, and the Capital E Motorsport driver from the UK of Alex Meredith completes your top 10. Michael Lees P11 on 462 points, best of the rest there ahead of Matthew Cheverton, with Ben Altrier, Mark Sykes and Luke Jones completing your top 15. Shane Piggott P16 ahead of Ian Wild, who's continued to come on strong, despite the fact he might be finishing towards the back, is his consistency and the fact he's picking up the points that others drop, which means he's moving closer and closer to the top 15. There's Jonathan Collins, Lucas Colch and Bernardo Colby complete your top 20. And then outside the top 20, Giorgio Belay ahead of Daniel Fritz, with Dan Lewis, Mark Kent and Josh Brown completing your top 25. And we've got to see Mark Kent back in action last time out. It was great to see the full tilt V Motorsport driver on the grid at Circuit Zolder. And then Costa Chatscontinental P26 and then Jonathan Cook, with Chris Rance, Jake Pitt and James Pascal completing your top 30. And with that, all the standings thus far this season. But then we come on to the Teams Championship. Let's not forget this one. And, well, look at the top of the Teams Championship there, ladies and gentlemen. We are now 7 rounds in terms of scores, and it is ever close between the top 3. Doble Sim Racing on 1,484 points. They hold on to lead, but the Sim Racing Collective are only a further 11 points behind. Indeed, that gap has opened up slightly, but it's marginal. And then Next Gen Racing Pink have bounced back and moved into P3 on 1,435 points. Indeed, if you do the mathematics there, it is 49 points that separate the top 3 teams, and any one of them could win at this point in time. Meanwhile, Sam Case with Next Gen, they're P4 and looking to hold on to the title of best of the rest outside the top 3 in that 4th place position. And they've got a reasonable advantage over JW Motorsport, extended to the best part of 97 points. But JW Motorsport as well making a late comeback in the season, and therefore trying to hunt down that P4 spot before all is said and done. But also iRacing Esports are right there with them on 799 points. And then SRL just over 100 points behind in P7, starting to find themselves being nipped at in the heels by Mark Sykes Designs, with Performance Link Esports and Capital E Motorsport much further back by comparison by the best part of 200 plus points, and therefore battling for P9 and round off your top 10. Outside the top 10, you go from the 373 Capital E Motorsport to the 336 BT Motorsport, who fall to P11 there. Best of the rest, head of Aztec Racing. Next, Team 4 by KC Motorsport, Full Tilt V Motorsport, and Ace of Spades Racing to complete your top 15, with Full Tilt V Motorsport continue to try and chase down a finish inside the top 10, or as a minimum at that P11 spot, moving closer to Team 4 by KC Motorsport. The gap now down to 15 points from the approximate 30 it was last week. And as we can see at P16 at Whiskey Runners with NXTGEN ahead of CS, Casey and Mally Motors. Let's go Cold Digital HHR complete your team's championship standings. But now we come to our circuit for today, and well, it is a circuit that deserves a full introduction. It's the Twin Ring Motegi Grand Prix circuit, located near the town of Motegi in the Tochigi Prefecture of Japan. And thank you to iRacing.com for their wonderful simulator and the track maps that come with it. And what you can see from the track map provided here, this circuit looks a little bit different compared to most of the circuits we have seen thus far. And as we explained earlier, this is a stop-start, straight hairpin style circuit. Indeed, a very unique one at that. As the drivers make their way on a round hill, they'll find it's all about being on the brakes and also getting to corner apex as soon as possible, return to full throttle. Indeed, therefore, it's all about rotating the car through the corners and maximising your time to the accelerator. But as the drivers charge away on a round, they'll find as they head up towards turn number 1 down the start finish straight, plenty of overtaking opportunities into the double apex hairpin of turns 1 and 2. And as they emerge, it's then another long run in towards turn number 3 and 4. Although note how the apex of turns 3 and 4 are not as symmetrical as turns 1 and 2. And in fact, it's a very tight apex at turn 3 and a more flying left-hander at turn number 4 to complete the second hairpin and see our drivers charge up towards turn number 5. Then they'll make their way into a slightly downhill braking zone, albeit this circuit has a very limited amount of elevation change. Indeed, you could say it's quite akin to Stetson in that regard. And as they make their way into turn number 5, the sharp right-hand right-angle corner, we'll see our drivers battle under braking there and plenty of overtaking opportunities into that corner before they head their way under the bridge, which sits underneath the oval portion of the layout of the circuit. Indeed, there's 2 circuits here. That's why it's known as the Twin Ring Motegi circuit, and the fact Motegi, the town, and then Twin Ring being 2 circuits. And well, there's the oval and the Grand Prix road course here, and of course we're focused on the road course. But as they make their way under the oval, they'll head into the sweeper at turn number 6 and then into the switchback chicane at medium speed at turn 7 and 8, the left into right there, before making their way up towards turn at number 9 into another hairpin where it's a very tight apex and corner exit, a deceptive type one, and we could see a few drivers there get it wrong under braking or indeed under battling. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few doors being rubbed. And as they make their way out of turn number 9, it's then up towards the turn 10 hairpin, which sees our drivers make their way on to the west course straight. And as they make the way out to turn number 10, it's the longest straight on the circuit, flat out down towards turn number 11, a downhill braking zone once again into a right-angled right corner. And as they make their way in towards turn number 11 there, the drivers who are on the inside line, they'll find themselves exposed, given the fact you want to be on the outside with the road camber through the corner. But as they come out of turn number 11, they'll go under the oval again via another tunnel and up towards the double left of turns 12 and 13, while switching back to the right-hander at turn 14 to complete lap and do it all over again. As we come on to our rules for today, let's give you a reminder. Well, this is a fixed setup series with all the setups provided ahead of each round by NXTGEN racing officials. Driver class-wise, the classes were finalised as of round 3, and we have not seen any class changes as of this round we can report, but we do have 2 new drivers on the grid who we will introduce in accordance very shortly. Sprint race-wise, the race 1 grid shall be set based on results of qualifying, that's a given. The race 2 grid shall be set based on results of race 1, so whoever wins race 1 takes pole position for race 2, and we work our way down the order accordingly. And then the race 3 grid shall be a reverse grid based on results of race number 2, albeit with the modifier that the reversal position is drawn live from the commentary booth between P13 and P23. Indeed, after race number 2 finishes, we'll be coming to the commentary booth and I'll do the lottery bowl draw for this round, and we'll see what numbers come out of the bowl and when added together what number they'll create. Now, each driver shall have 1 fast repair available in each race, and each race shall conclude after either the allotted lap amount of 11 laps or 30 minutes. And with 11 laps, we are expecting the race here to go on for approximately 22 minutes in each race, and well, hopefully, without safety cars, we'll be able to finish those races on time. But as we then come on to the wider ruling, well, we do have race stewarding in effect. An independent race director, as always, is stewarding the races for track limit infringements and also the deployment of the safety car. And we can see penalties for track limit infringements shall be distributed as follows. The first to second warnings, there's no penalty. The third one is a 5-second post-race time penalty. The fourth one is a 10-second post-race time penalty. And on the fifth warning, it's a drive-through penalty that must be served within 3 laps. Racing instance, meanwhile, shall be reviewed post-round. And then lastly, we continue the story of the season, which is the success ballast, which is applied on a race-by-race basis. And for qualifying in race 1, it's our top 10 drivers in the overall championship that carry the success ballast. Then race number 2, we'll update that to the top 10 finishers of race 1. And then in race number 3, it'll be applied based on the top 10 overall finishers of race race 2. And as we can see, that success balance there ranging from 56.1 kilograms, which will be in the hands of Joseph Doble for the opening portion of today, all the way through to 4.7 kilograms for 10th place there, and that'll be going to Nick Clibbins. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's return to circuit side, because we can natter on about the rules and regulations for an eternity, but you're all here for the racing action, and completely understandable as to why. And as we look to Russell Fowler here, making his way on through the last couple of corners, getting himself set, we do say hello to a good number of you in the respective chats. And in particular in the Facebook chat there to John Meredith, who says, looks like a tricky circuit this week, good luck all. Indeed, this could be one of the trickiest circuits of the calendar and what we've seen, for the simple reason this is one of those circuits where you really do need to have that ability to get back to full throttle as soon as possible. We're going to keep saying it for the simple reason it is true, in the fact that if you don't nail your apexes, then you do end up in one of those situations where you're going to lose 1 to 2 miles an hour as you make the way out the corner, and by the time you get towards the braking zone for the next corner, you've lost 3 to 4 miles an hour and potentially a position. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for qualifying. 15 minutes, and here we go. And immediately, all of our drivers will be trying to charge their way out of the pit lane as soon as possible. Michael Leese immediately getting on the charge head down the pit lane as the Mark Sykes design driver makes his way out. Lee Horn being the first driver to leave the pit lane as I look at my commentary booth window. But as we get set and ready to go, a little bit of history on this circuit, because indeed it is a circuit that not many are aware of outside of Japan, unless you're a major follower of, say, the Japanese series of Super Formula, alternatively Super GT or TCR Japan. This circuit was originally opened as a test circuit for Honda by the Japanese manufacturer, and the reason why this circuit was open is because Honda wanted to do more research with regards to IndyCar racing, and that's why this circuit was opened with both an oval and also a road course layout. And with the oval race, of course, being a major component of IndyCar, but also there being a few road races in IndyCar, the American Series. Therefore, Honda saw this as their golden opportunity in order to set up a circuit whereby they could gain all the information possible and improve their performances in IndyCar, particularly in the 90s. But with the circuit gradually falling away from its original use as a test circuit, it more so became what would be a circuit used on a domestic level in Japan and also on an international level with Super GT and also Super Formula 3, gradually gaining more international notoriety, and therefore it has become a staple of Japanese series over the course of the years. Now, what is interesting about this circuit is the fact that whilst it does have 2 unique road courses, or we could say a road course and an oval course, the thing about them is they cannot be run simultaneously. So you couldn't have a race going on the oval layout of the circuit and at the same time one on the road course and Grand Prix layout, unlike, say, Virginia International Raceway, where that circuit has 6 layouts and you can have 2 running simultaneously. And the reason for that is the pit lane of the oval course, in fact, is shared with the pit lane of the Grand Prix course. And in order to use those pit lanes, well, the 2 intersect with one another, and therefore it would be a safety hazard if you were to try and run 2 races simultaneously. So I'm not saying definitely knowing about this circuit. And then one other little bit of thing as well is that this circuit was recently renamed from Twin Ring Motegi as a 2022 to Mobility Land Motegi, or Mobility Resort Motegi, in reference to the fact that this is a very unique place. If you visit Japan and you decide to go visit the circuit, you'll find it has become just as much a resort in terms of there being plenty of themes to do with Honda, but also today to do with the simulator of, say, Gran Turismo. Indeed, I believe they even have a cafe dedicated to Gran Turismo at the circuit, if my memory serves me correctly, and therefore it is definitely a great place to go for a holiday trip, just as much as it is to go see some live motorsport. But as all our drivers get set and ready to take on the 2.98 mile road course here for the first time on their first flying laps. But that's enough about the trivia behind the circuit right now, and indeed everybody getting themselves comfortably set as we say hello there to Michael Price in the YouTube chat, who says Wagwan Paul, and well, thank you Michael, and Wagwan to you. And we also say hello there to Catherine Meredith in the YouTube chat, who says hello, and we've missed our Tuesday racing nights. Indeed, I can tell you one driver who we have definitely missed on the grid, ladies and gentlemen. It is Alex Meredith. We see him here in the Chemical E Motorsport UK Hyundai Elantra, and it's absolutely fantastic to see him making his way off for Return of Revive once again here. And well, he was tipped early on in the season to be a potential contender for the Higgins Automotive Pro and Class Championship, but I can tell you that whilst he may not be up there in the points right now, it's not going to dissuade him from going for it all in, no doubt about it. And he definitely is one of the rising stars on the grid. Indeed, we have quite a few youngsters on the grid. Isaac Doble being another one of them, of course, and he's been one of the stars, as well as the Doble Sim Racing driver, makes his way down into turn number 9. And well, what we can expect in this qualifying session is our drivers will try and use the slipstream of one another. In the fact you've got so many extended straights around here, it is worth using the toe and picking up a couple of attempts over the entirety lap. In fact, that toe can be worth almost half a second if you nail it right. But also, we should expect In terms of the individual cars around here, the velocity will be quite strong for the simple reason it's a jack of all trades, master of none, which will give it a balanced edge, whether it be the hairpins or alternatively the sweepers midway through the lap and also on the straights. We are also expecting potentially the Hyundai Elantra to really run at the top of this qualifying session, as we have all seen this season, the Elantra really being the one-lap pace car. But conversely, as we do look to those weather conditions on the right-hand side of your screen, you will notice here there is a very warm circuit today. 25 degrees ambient temperature, 48 degrees centigrade track temperature, and that means it is a scorcher. And well, in the racing, particularly the Elantras may fall off the pace quite early on in the racing session, particularly when we get towards what will be the final thirds, when we've got 3 to 4 laps remaining, so around lap 6, lap 7. That's where we're going to see a transition when the Elantras will lose a lot of their pace and we'll start to see the other cars in the field really come alive. Now, when we talk about the Honda, given the fact this arguably is its home circuit, if you will, given the Honda Museum based here, we are expecting the Hondas to be quite an interesting conundrum, as we see one of them in the form of Ian Manners making its way across the timeline. And the fact the Honda will have the advantage on the brakes going into the hairpins. However, the Honda does struggle with regards to straight line speed, so therefore this could be a car that if it does get in front of another driver, it could prove to be a very difficult car to pass, because it can simply outbrake its rivals into each and every corner. But the opposite is true. If it finds itself behind another car, it may struggle to make an overtake, given the fact there's so many straights around here. It will need to siphon the slipstream in order to stay close and then try and get moves done on the brakes. So the Hondas here may really find themselves in a bit of a double-edged sword. And then we do also, of course, have the Audi RS3s, of which we do look to one of them, our leading RS3 in the overall championship right now, in the form of Gavin Gardner, and we've P7 currently after 1 lap on the board. And well, the thing about the Audi RS3 is with its gearing, that gearing may make it very explosive coming out of the hairpin corners, where it will make its way out through the gears. But it will also need to hold a higher gear, say third, whereas other cars will go down to second or first, for the simple reason this Audi is made to get towards top gear as soon as humanly possible. But as they make their way on through here, one other thing to note, you may notice there, with the current provisional pole time held by our newcomer, debutant tonight of Guthrie, William Guthrie for Full Tilt B Motorsport, who we say hello to and welcome it to the grid as he makes his way out to turn number 10 there in what is the Full Tilt B Motorsport Elantra Veloster, and he's going to be competing in the Pro class as of this round. He's been assigned to the Pro class. Well, the lap around here is one of the longest laps we're seeing on our calendar this season, coming in at 2 minutes, or just above 2 minutes. I believe that, speaking to drivers in the build-up to today, we were looking at lap times around the 2-minute threes in qualifying, the best laps, and in return in the races we are expecting 2-minute 4s and 2-minute 5s. So therefore one of the longest laps out there. Qualifying is going to be deprived of multiple laps. Our drivers will be getting the best part of 5 to 6 laps on the board, depending on whether they decide to come in for tyres, albeit I think they may need to, given the track temperatures out there. So this is definitely going to be one of those qualifying sessions where you need to get the job done early, and will Guthrie on his debut absolutely delivering here. He is 300s faster than Andrew Pike. Jamie doing moves within 100th of him now. But welcome to our first debutant. Now, other debutant, let's not forget we've got 2 of them here today. It is none other than this man from Brabham Esports, making his way around in the number 60, also another Veloster, and it is in the form of Luciano Viboet as he makes his way out of turn at number 4 and down towards 5. I may have butchered the pronunciation of his surname there, but if Luciano does hear that, I'm sure he'll let me know after today how to pronounce his surname correctly. But we're going to go with the pronunciation of Viboet for the time being, as he makes his way out of turn at number 5 and in towards 6 here. And well, welcome to him on the grid. And he's also been assigned to the Pro class, and these assignments are provisional. Of course, we decided to go with the Pro class here, given the relative experience of both drivers. We may need to revise those classifications after today if necessary. But as we reach the end of the first half of this qualifying session, the one thing we haven't had a chance to take a look at yet is an on-board lap with one of our drivers. And well, right now, as you can see on the circuit map, the majority of them all being concentrated around the second half of the lap and getting themselves comfortably set up here for another flying lap. This will be a full flying lap, in fact. And as they head on around, we look to Alan McCain, when the iRacing Esports Elantras making its way through turn number 6. The science to find a little bit of space out on circuit here, and well, some drivers will feel more comfortable running in clear air, trying to get the laps on the board, as Russell Fowler now holds the provisional time there of what is a 2-minute 4.071. Indeed, the Pro Am drive currently posted to overall and in class. The Fowler coming back with a bang today and showing that the Audi RS3 has life in it yet, and we are expecting that Audi, as we say, very strong on the straights around here, and therefore if mastered it could be a very difficult car to beat. That's the great thing, of course. All 4 of the machines this season have proven to be worth their value, and even the Audi, not a very popular car, but we have seen some fantastic moments of the Audi RS3 over the course of the season. But as we do speak speak about Russell Fowler. Here he comes out of turn number 10 and onwards towards what is, well, turn number 11 I should say, through 12, 13 and up towards 14. And I think it's only appropriate we jump on board the Audi RS3 driver as he takes us around for a flying lap of the Twin Ring Motegi Grand Prix circuit. So he makes his way up towards turn number 1, accelerating up through the gearbox here and keeping the car over to the left-hand side as he gets ready to go onto the brakes and braking at what will be the 100-metre mark from the corner apex all the way down the third gear. U-shape approach between the two apexes there and sweeps it back, upshifts the fourth nice and early there in order to settle the car down and get the power tucked in. Now heading down towards turn number 3, getting ready for the brakes, looks to his right-hand side and he'll be braking at about 70 metres, coming the way down to third gear once again, but notice this time he lets the car initially go deep, but he's got to turn it on through and then get back on the power as soon as possible for turn 4, because it's a much more open corner by comparison, and then it gives him the flow up towards turn number 5. That's another straight here where he heads into the braking zone, downhill slightly this time, so he will brake a little bit earlier, braking about 95 metres of corner apex down to fourth gear, hold to higher gear so he can get back on the powers. He rotates his one through at 57 miles an hour under the bridge, and now going in towards turn number 6, up through the gearbox into fifth gear, flat out here from the right hander, plenty of apex curve to turn the car and carry the speed, and now going in towards turn number 7, the left into right here, the switch back as he makes his way on through, goes a little bit deep coming out of 7, that compromises his line into 8, puts him on a very tight apex, but the thing about front engine front wheel drive is you can get away with that much more easily as he brakes way into turn number 9, braking at 75 metres of corner apex down to third gear, and then it's all about that late apex and gets back on the power as he now makes his way up towards turn number 10 and will let the driver on through there. We're going to stay on board with Fowler for the remainder of this lap as he carries a little bit less speed into the turn 10 hairpin. I think recognises his lap has not been perfect, and then number 52 of Ian Manners on through, and as he makes way out turn number 10 now, we flat out down the straight here, heading up towards turn number 11. Going on down one of the start-finish straights to the shorter versions of the Twin Ring Motegi circuit. And in fact, I think that is the east layout rather than the west layout, getting our compass directions muddled up, and as he brakes his way down from the 100-metre board all the way down to fourth gear, use that apex, absolutely chop off the curb, and as he goes underneath the oval in towards turns 12 and 13, here you've got to keep it nice and tight for 13 as he comes over into the left and now to the right hander of 14, and as he comes on through there, just balance the throttle, make you out the corner, and went a smooth lap from Fowler, but he knows he's got more out there as he did improve in the first subsector, but plenty more time to go as he tries to improve further. Ian Manners now moving into provisional pole in what is there the Prime class, only what was half a tenth faster than him. Lee Horn now takes P2, and that's provisional pole Pro-Am on what is a 204.006. The only 203 delivered so far is a 203.945 from Gavin Garner for NXTGEN Racing at Team Pink as he raises the bar, the first one to smash into the 203s. Everybody else in the 204s or higher, but look at that on the time tally, ladies and gentlemen. The top 10 separated by a quarter of a second from Gavin Garner to Alex Meredith, and then if you go all the way down to P20, it is 6 tenths that separates the top 20. It is incredibly close here, and well, even the smallest of improvements could enable a driver to gain multiple positions before this session is all said and done. But meanwhile, looking from a provisional prime pole sitter to Gavin Garner, our overall pole sitter currently with 3 minutes left on the clock. Well, right now the pro driver here definitely looking to come on strong. And for those of you who are new to the broadcast today, if you're wondering about how we classify the classes, well, the pro are our fastest drivers there, and they can be noted on the time until the green sash against their name. Meanwhile, our primes, albeit Gavin Garner being a pro, our primes such as Paul Scott, staying with the theme of an Audi RS3 driver, he's down in P20, but they've got a pink sash against their name in the time attack, and that denotes they are a Pro-Am. As he makes his way up towards what we turn at number 10 here, will mean, well, at the bottom end of those qualifying times right now is the Honda Civic Type R driver, James Spencer's-Gal for Aztec Racing. Having a difficult qualifying session so far is the ATR driver, but still trying to get himself set, and sometimes it may just be better to invest in the race rather than worrying too much about qualifying. Indeed, with 27 drivers expected to be on the grid here today, a little bit less compared to what we used to, but to be fair, we do know quite a few drivers not available today due to holidays or personal circumstances, but that's why we do have a drop squad over the season, so that way if you do need to miss around, it's not as punishing. As he makes way down, Adam Delmont goes provisional pole on a 203.813. That's a tenth and a half, almost faster than Gavin Garner, does not improve, and Garner going into his final flying lap, and right now everybody together on circuit apart from this man who goes a little bit deep there through turn number 11, so it looks like Spencer's-Gal just not quite happy with the flow of the circuit so far. It's a very difficult circuit circuit to get the flow right. As we said earlier today, a very different circuit from what our drivers are used to, and therefore we might see a few drivers out of position as he does make his way up towards the timeline. And what's it going to be for Smagsgao as he crosses the line here? Does he improve, or does he stay where he is? When he does improve by 7 tenths, but it's a 206.840. It's still 1.3 seconds off of Jonathan Collins' P23 time. But meanwhile, look into the Honda that's absolutely flying right now when it is none other than Adam Delwam, as he makes his way out to turn number 6 and in towards 7 and 8 in the long line of cars here. He's got the tone that will offset the straight line speed deficit of the Honda Civic Type R, and will, with the car's impressive brakes and cornering capability, it looks like it might be a match made in heaven here, albeit if he's going to have Gardner's Audi on the front row of the grid with him, it is going to be one very rapid drag racing towards turn number 1, a drag race which on paper, if the Audi is launched correctly, you would expect it to win the drag race, but then again, we know that Delmont is no slouch on the run into the braking zones, and as he makes his way through into turn number 10 here, coming on through right now, just absolutely nailing those corner limits all the way through, using the full width of the circuit. And as we say hello to Cup there in the YouTube chat, I had the pleasure of meeting at Brands Hatch this weekend for the BTCC finale the weekend just gone, that is, and looking forward to how Aztec Racing do today is Cup, and we're glad to have you with us here, Mr. Cup. And meanwhile, we do say hello to Jonathan Cook in the YouTube chat, who says go on at Russell in reference to Russell Fowler. Well, now only 10 seconds remain on the clock, ladies and gentlemen. Are any other drivers going to get a lap in before it's said and done? I think Isaac Doble may be one of a limited number of drivers to squeeze an extra lap in here. It's literally going to be at the close of the session. Doble just squeezes one in. Checker flag out. I think Delmont might be the last driver to get a lap in. That's a 203.570. Delmont improving by 3 tenths. He's still almost 3 tenths faster than anybody else. William Guthrie goes P3. Dan Mould squeezes into P2 between the two and the 203.836. The SRL driver in the Veloster doing well, but those brakes, those rear brakes are glowing red hot. You know he's loaded up those rear brake discs as much as possible. Mikey Doble, meanwhile, moves aside P6, so that's an impressive performance there, given his second place championship success balance of weighs just over 50 kilograms as he makes his way back to the pits. And meanwhile, some drivers yet to complete their laps. We've seen Mark Sykes improve to P22 on a 204.927. That's happened off camera. This is Ben Altria, who's currently P10, looking for a season best qualifying performance. And indeed, while the standout performances of this session for Full Tilt B Motorsport, but he won't get another lap in from what we've... In fact, I think he might get another lap in. He is heading around and proceeded to do one, so he may just squeeze another one. I thought it was Adam Delmont who was on the last lap here in terms of the drivers who squeezed on through, but then again, it is hard to tell. It may have been fractional, but as our drivers wind their way on around, Isaac Doble, meanwhile, had a very difficult day in this qualifying session in terms of the fact only P17, that's P9 Pro-Am, and in the same candidate here, the fact that Joseph Doble only 2 placed up with that 56.1 kilograms of success balance, will the overall championship leader definitely feel it. P15 will be his starting position at the best, and therefore he could find himself really having to find an uphill battle in race 1, and hoping when that weight falls out the car in race number 2, well, if he doesn't finish inside the top 10, that is, he might be able to spring his way up the order. But then we have the reverse grid for race number 3, and that's why you have to be very tactical in this series. It's not just about outright pace, for the simple reason if you're a very fast driver, you're going to have a lot of weight in the car from race to race and round to round, and that will hold you back. And many of drivers have said as soon as you have at least 20 kilograms of success ballast in the car, as Doble makes his way into the pit lane, it completely changes the complexion of the machine. As Matthew Addy on a cool down lap here, I think in fact all the drivers who did go on to one extra lap, we managed to sneak one in there, all on cool down laps, nobody deciding to get an additional lap in. Although I say that, I think Michael Lease has actually gone for another lap. He doesn't improve, he stays P16, and well, in the end for Michael Lease, it's a 204.36 is the best. But then again, from P1 through to P20, just under a second, and Nick Clemens a further 10th out in P21 there. An incredibly close qualifying session, and we've talked about those all season, but it really goes to show just how close all of our drivers have been. And we'll let Matthew Addy here making his way on down towards the timeline. This is just a cool down lap here for Addy, and right now P14 will be his starting position, but Lee Horner will be your pole sitter in the Prime Class P5, and Adam Delmont takes overall pole position. And will for Reese Watt, he'll raise an eyebrow if he's watching this knowing that Lee Horn, his main rival, has taken that pole position and could be on course for some major points in the first race of the day. Speaking of which, ladies and gentlemen, we are only now minutes away from going racing. Race number 1 is coming up very shortly. And as we do take a quick sip of water there, all our drivers have now been made to return to the pit garages, and it's time for us to transition to our first race of the day, and this is how they'll all line up. So it's Adam Delman who takes pole position for race 1 of round 8 of the NXTGEN Season 4 at the Twin Ring Motegi circuit, and the Mark Sykes Designs driver is joined on the front row by commonplace front row starter SRL's Dan Mould. Behind him on row number 2 will be William Guthrie on his debut for Full Tilt V Motorsport, and he'll be joined by NXTGEN Racing Pink's Gavin Garner P4. Lee Horn, your pro and pole sitter for Sam Case for NXTGEN, starts P5 on the third row of the grid, joined there by Mikey Doble for Doble Sim Racing P6, and there's Ian Manners and Russell Fowler, the prime pair for JW Motorsport and Performance Esports respectively, who line up on your full row. The top 10 is completed by Andrew Pine for the Sim Racing Collective and Ben Allchair for Full Tilt V Motorsport in a season best qualifying performance. And it's Jamie Dory who starts P11 for NXTGEN Racing Pink, joined on the 6th row of the grid by Kenry Tour E Motorsports Alex Meredith. And then on row number 7, Alan McCain for iRacing Esports and Sam Case for the NXTGEN Matthew Addy line up together, with Joseph Doble starting P15 for Doble Sim Racing, joined by Michael Lisa Mark Sykes Designs. On row number 9, it's Isaac Doble for Doble Sim Racing, joined by Brammer Esports' Luciano Vivoet, who starts P18 on his debut, and then Kieran Sharp for the Sim Racing Collective and Paul Scott for Sam Case for the NXTGEN complete your top 20. On row at number 11, it's Nick Clemens for iRacing Esports and Mark Sykes Designs Mark Sykes, P21, P22, with Jonathan Collins starting P23 for Whiskey Runners with NXTGEN, joined by Aztec Racing's James Smazasgal, P24. On row number 13, it will be the pair of Matthew Sheraton for Aztec Racing and what is Mark Kemp for Full Tilt V Motorsport. And last but not least, starting P27, Ian Will for CS Sim Racing with Mally Motors. But that is the grid all set, ladies and gentlemen. Our drivers are in position, and we look to the front of the grid. We are due to go racing in what is less than 15 seconds time. And will it be Adam Delman or Dan Mould who gets the run in towards turn number 1? It's going to be Civic versus Veloster. And as they charge away into turn 1, Mould will be on the inside, but Delman will have that outside line to sweep his way around. Well, here come the lights. Let's find out. 1 red light, 2 red lights, 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go for the first race of the day, and Delman looks to get a reasonable start, but Mould are now building up the speed here as they make the way up towards the braking zone, but Delman's done exactly what he needs to do as they come all into the brakes. Meanwhile behind 3 wide here with Gavin Garner making the leap into P3, place gained already as he comes off ahead of Lee Horn who's jumped William Guthrie. Guthrie loses a place off the line as they all make the way out of turn 1 and 2 and down towards 3. You can see that everyone fighting hard. Ian Manners side by side here with Mikey Doble as they come down. Doble defends the inside, Manners puts on some early pressure, and meanwhile behind Jamie Dory looking to go around the outside, picking off Ben Allchair and trying to get Andrew Pike as well, but picks up the grass there with the 2 right tyres. That's going to cost them a bit of speed as Allchair gets back to the inside coming through 4, and as they make their way down towards turn number 5, well, most of the front battles have now started to calm down to a degree, but 2 wide further back there as we see Alex Meredith coming sharply across into the braking zone, gets a bit too close to the rear of the 14th Motorsport Core, takes the inside in order to avoid contact. Alan McCain meanwhile there battling with Joseph Doble, holds Doble at bay for now, but Joseph Doble getting a good start, gains 1 place and now looking to gain another as they weave their way through the right-hander of turn number 6 and up towards 7. Joseph Doble all over the back of McCain, but can't find his way through into the switchback left as they make the way on through turn 7 and 8 behind Michael Lees here, also trying to get a little bit testy versus Matthew Addy. Addy keeping at bay the Mark Sykes Designs versus the Sam Cases driver, both of them there playing the battle out, albeit Matthew Addy holding the position and Lees going to the grass. That cost him 1, that cost him 2. Kieran Sharp comes on through with Isaac Doble as well, and therefore Michael Lees falling down the order right now. Nick Clemens looking for an opportunity as well, but meanwhile Russell Fowler trying to go around the outside of Ian Manners. That's a P2 in the prime class, or what is P7 overall, but Manners holds on. But notice with this battling how now Lee Horn is starting to break away as they make the way on down. And in fact I have had something whispered in my ear, ladies and gentlemen, that in fact we are now going to have only 10 laps racing rather than 11 due to the fact complying with a 20-minute race timer for the number of laps in the distance. And as they make the way down to the braking zone here, well, Manners right now defending hard on the inside as they make the way on through the right into left coming into turn number 12, and Manners does get the position back off of Russell Fowler for what is said and done with successful defence. So as they complete 1 lap of racing, it's Adam Delman who leads, going on to lap number 2, ahead of Dan Mould P2, Gavin Garner P3, William Guthrie P4, Mikey Doble P5, and then your prime leader Lee Horn P6, ahead of Ian Manners P7, Russell Fowler P8, Andrew Pike P9, Jamie Dory P10, and Ben Allchair P11 Vesteres P4 prime as he makes his way through the corner right now. Allchair losing 1 place overall, but I don't think he's going to complain too much about that as they make the way up towards turn number 3 once again. Everybody knows the tail right now, and I think it is going to be linear racing for a brief moment until until somebody scratches the surface and making a move here. Speaking of which, Voet looks up the inside. He can't quite find it there versus Alan McCain. Has to back out on the inside line in the end. Meanwhile, just in front, Alex Meredith and then Altria exchanging places. Meredith gets the move done. They're coming through 3-4. And as they head down towards turn number 5, well, Meredith's going to be under pressure. But look at Joseph Doble. Looks to go around the outside here versus Altria, who packs back in. But meanwhile, it's going to be quite a lunge there from Alan McCain. A bit of contact with Altria. And with that, Alan McCain does gain the place. Albeit Altria won't be too happy with how it was made. Flashing his lights there, making it felt to McCain. He feels though it was a bit of a lunge and a push to pass as they head up towards turn number 7. It looks though right now things are going to stay as they are in terms of that move being made, and McCain, I think, feeling as though he's got to keep making progress here to keep those Pro Championship hopes alive as they head in towards turn number 9. All from them, we look back up to Gavin Garner here, who's under increasing pressure from Guthrie. Guthrie lost the place to Garner off the line, but right now Garner doing very well to hold down to that position and trying to put the pressure on Dan Mould. Now keep in mind that Garner does have a little bit less weight in the car compared to previous rounds, given the difficulties he has had in the number 11 Audi, particularly last time out, and therefore that could play to his advantage. Meanwhile, 2 wide coming out of turn number 10 with a little bit of a snooch to the inside there for his eyes at Doble. This is the battle between Michael Lease and Willis Matthew Addy. They're fighting for P17, P8 in the prime class, with Isaac Doble P7 in class in front of him. You can see Voet versus Doble there as they break the way in, but they stay in formation. Meanwhile, Lease on the inside, but Addy does have the camber of the road to carry the speed on round. It'll still be 2 wide. We've got a car into the grass there, straight lining on. And that is Ben Altria, who I believe, well, something's gone very wrong with the car there for Altria. I think he might be having to retire the car for a reason. In fact, he's off on the grass again there. I'm not quite sure what's happened to the Full Tilt V Motorsport driver, but it's gone very, very wrong in the space of 3 quarters. As he recovers here, well, the battle right now plays your bets, ladies and gentlemen, as they make their way into the braking zone. As Mark Sykes looks up the inside of Kieran Sharp, can't quite find it, or can he? Can, with Kieran Sharp there in a little bit of a bump versus what is, by comparison, the iRacing Esports car, Nick Clemens. Sykes comes on through, but now as they make their way down towards turn number 3, you see Paul Scott also trying to get into the mix there behind the Mark Sykes Designs driver in the red-black Audi. But meanwhile, Kieran Sharp says, no, the buck stops here and I'm not going to let any more drivers through as they come through turns at 3 and 4 and up towards 5 they go. Paul Scott now having to exchange places with Ben Altria, who's trying to make a recovery drive here. And as Scott goes a bit wide, they're coming out of turn number 4. Well, 2 balls were still on the curb, so that will be permitted. He's going to defend on the inside, coming down in towards turn number 5. Altria is going to look for the cutback here. Will he be able to find it? Not quite. He can't carry the momentum. That Audi's so strong in the acceleration zones and made itself felt. But meanwhile, we'll look back up to the battle for P3 overall, and this is Garner versus Guthrie. Guthrie on the outside there through 8, I'll put him on the inside of 9 as they head on to the brakes. Coming on through, Guthrie's got the move there, I think just about, as they make the way out of the corner. Garner all over his rear bumper, now looking for the move around the outside to turn 10. Mikey Doble was there as well. Lee Horn's watching on. Horn does have 1.2 seconds to what is Manners behind, so Horner feels safe. He can watch this at a distance for now. He won't want to stay too far back for too long, however, as meanwhile, Doble at the inside there versus Garner as they power their way down towards turn 11. We ride on board and look back from the rear at the Full Tilt V Motorsport machine of Guthrie as they enter the braking zone. Doble on the inside, but remember, Garner is on the better line on the outside, given the camber of the road. If he can commit to the 2 wide through the corner, he can't, however. Guthrie there with a bit of a lock-up on the braking, and that's going to release Doble on through as they go into turn number 12. Guthrie out in the deep there. He tries to bring it back together, but Garner's now on the inside to outside through 14. Tries the cutback. Guthrie parks it on Apex and says, no, you don't. Garner, meanwhile, says, Audi Power says, yes, I can. And as they make the way onto another lap, going on to lap number 4 now. Well, who is it going to be here? I think Garner will be stuck behind from the Guthrie as they come into the right-hander. And as they do, nose the tail there. A few bumps and scrapes on the front and rear bumpers. Lee Horn on the back of all this, and with all the battling, Lee Horn has been caught up by Ian Manners for the lead of the prime class as they make the way down. Manners takes a look. Horn covers it off, a bit of a dummy there from Manners. I think Manners trying to condition Horn in terms of getting Horn to react each and every time, and as they make the way through turns 3 and 4, that might be a sign of something to come later on for Manners. Could he potentially set up a dummy and get Horn to make a mistake? That would be the ideal situation, and then he can find his way on through. But as they make the way in towards turn number 5 here, well, right now it is all fair and square between our drivers here in the battle for P3 through to P7 overall. And keep in mind that Andrew Pike is only 9 tenths off of this cluster of cars, and therefore he'll be trying to bring himself plus Russell Fallon and Jamie Dorey into the mix. But as as they make the way on through. And meanwhile, look a little bit further back here to Jonathan Collins. The Whiskey runs with next-gen driver chasing after Mark Kent. These two fighting for P12 in the Chrome class. P22 as they make the way through turn number 6 and in towards 7. And right now Collins staying close but not quite able to find an opportunity as he makes his way in to the S-curves here of turn 27, turn 7 into turn 8 we should say. And as they grind the way through the left into right, well, right now both drivers nose to tail as they go, albeit it does look as though Kent starts to open up a bit of advantage. Collins goes a little bit deeper into the corner there, doesn't quite get the apex hooked up, and that's going to cost him more time. And I think Collins right now feeding in the zone. His adversary is gradually pulling away and he wants to try and gain that time, but the more he tries to outbreak himself into the corners, the more that gap is opening up. But as we look from there back to the battle for P3 here, head down in towards turn number 11, all Doble ahead of Guthrie and then Garda ahead of Horn and Manners. And now Andrew Pike all over the back of this group, so it is going to the battle from P3 to P8 as they come onto lap number 5. But speaking of that, meanwhile, here's your race leader, Adam Delmont, 6 steps clear of Dan Mould as they make the way in to the conclusion of the first half of this race. And as they come into the right hand of Delmont right now, nailed the start versus Mould. Mould, to be fair, had a better phase in the second phase of the run towards turn number 1, but it wasn't a long enough run for the Velocity driver to find a way on through. And Delmont holding that position by 6 tenths comfortably. Mark Sykes designed, and Mould meanwhile, I think he's got to be aware of the fact the longer we go into this race, the more that Honda comes alive in terms of its pace. Those tyres take about 3 or 4 laps to warm up, but once they're warm, they are absolutely in the zone for the remainder of the distance. That really has been both one of the vices and virtues of the Honda all season, in the fact it takes an eternity to get into the operating window, but once it's there in the race conditions, it is a very fast car. But as they make the way through turn number 5, meanwhile, looking back to the battle for P3 here. As we can see it, Guthrie right now snaking all over the back of Doble as they come on through turn number 6 in towards 7 and 8. Well, Mikey Doble right now holding on here, the Doble Sim Racing driver, as they head into the break-ins over turn number 6. Can Guthrie find his way around? No, he cannot, and just having to wait once again. But we ride aboard here with Andrew Pike and the Sim Racing Collective Elantra as he makes his way on through, and as he heads in towards turn number 9, heading onto the brakes here. Russell Fowler 8.5 temps back, and we do see there, it looks as though Doble and Guthrie side by side coming out the corner, and as they make the way up, in fact Guthrie on a poor run, gone all over the back of him as they make it into the break. It's only Horn that looks to move around the outside there as they come on through around the outside of Garda. Can't quite find it. Let's go to compromise his line. Manners meanwhile will now try and get back in the tow, but they're all as they were as they power the way down towards turn number 11. But here's the thing, when they're all in a long line like this, one little moment can cost you at multiple places here, and nobody wants to lose out if they can help it. As at the front of this field, Guthrie right now going a bit deep there. That's going to enable Garner to come through, or will he be able to, as they make the way through turn number 12 into 13. Guthrie on to play more defensive out, and this may enable Mikey Doble to break away as they go into the second half of this race. Leaders at the foreground of your camera, and will Delmont and Mould exactly the same gap as they cross the line, 0.59 seconds as they go on to the next one. Dan Mould sets the new fastest lap of this race at 203.875. It is the best part there of what is 18 thousandths faster than Delmont, but there's nothing between the pair. Meanwhile, further back, we look here to the battle between Ben Altrier, Paul Scott, Matthew Addy for P9 in the Pro-Am class, or what is P19 overall. And Matthew Addy right now not making progress and going backwards. Instead, it would seem Altrier the same, and both drivers here I think just trying to make some headway now in the late stage of this race, although it's been a difficult one for both of them. As meanwhile, Clemens here holding Mark Sykes at bay for now, but definitely Mark Sykes getting on the pressure as there's a lot of damage to the rear Clemens' bumper there, a few scratch marks. I wouldn't be surprised there's been some contact between the two of them, but this is a semi-contact race here, much like real-life touring car. The BTCC concluding as this weekend just gone by, but this battle between Paul Scott and Ben Altrier, I should say, not concluding anytime soon, as Scott looks up the inside there, but Altrier just places his faith in the outside line on the racing line and holds on as they make the way into turn number 6. But from them we look to Mikey Doble, and well, here is the battle again for P3 between Doble and Guthrie. Guthrie this time going outside to inside through the S and getting a head down to brake, and that's very bold from Guthrie to outbrake and trail brake his way onto the nose of what was Doble, but he gets it done there and takes P3 for now. Gavin Garner on side by side with Lee Horn. Horn having to really put the pressure on Garner here, given the fact, look at the long line of cars that's queuing up behind. They're all being brought together, and right now from P3 to P13 it is a gap, ladies and gentlemen, of only 3.5 seconds. You've got 11 cars separated in that window as they all make the way down. You can see them all in the camera shot there. That runs all the way back to Alan McCain at the back of the group, and everybody in with a chance here of effectively a top 5 finish overall if they play the cards right. And opportunities open up in front as they make their way in towards turn number 12. Doble there having to go a bit defensive versus Garner, and I think that success balance of the second place championship holder is now starting to really take its effect as they make the way onwards towards lap number 7. And as they do, Dan Mould looking around the outside there of Adam Delmont and goes all the way round. I think Delmont a little bit slow into the corner. I wonder whether Delmont may have picked up a slowdown for track limits, an automated slowdown at that, and therefore Delmont's had to yield the position, but Dan Mould takes the lead with a sweeper around the outside into turn number 1, and now will try to break away. And the SRL driver here, 9, the third place in the championship currently, could be converted to a first place in the championship come the end of today if things go his way over the races. But pushing on hard here, and meanwhile, speaking of another driver who's pushing on hard, as we see Alan Lufis cheering him on in the YouTube chat, it's none other than the JW Motorsport driver Ian Manners, who we ride on board with here as he continues to try and harass and harry the leader of the Pro class of Lee Horn, who sits just in front of him. But the front for Manners here is in the fact that he's got Andrew Pike behind them, Russell Fowler, the third place prime. And if Manners plays his move and plays it incorrectly, he might find himself losing Peter and the chance to win, and instead being relegated to the third place or off the podium, given the fact that Alex Meredith is only 1.5 seconds behind, albeit behind Jamie Dorey. So that's why this race is so close right now for all these drivers, and they've all got to think about when's the right time to attack. And therefore, it may look processional right now, but I can promise you one thing, ladies and gentlemen, as we can see Mikey Doble going up the inside of Guthrie through turn number 9, it's anything but that as they make their way up towards turn number 10. Elbows getting out between these two, and the full tilt V Motorsport driver makes his way into the braking zone. Neil Garner on the inside. Doble right now with the door open there. Garner doesn't need any other excuse to get his nose in, and now we'll get to see the Audi versus the Veloster, and this is where the Audi should have the edge, plus the success balance factor when that's put in as well. That's going to see Garner get ahead. Look at Doble have a switching back to the inside as they make their way into the braking zone, but I think this might be more to cover off Lee Horn, and it is to look for a move versus Garner, or alternatively a dummy to get Garner to outbrake himself. But he's seen plenty of those over the course of his professional sim racing career, and as they make their way through turns 12 and 13, right now Doble does lose a position, still top 5 out, so it's good points to come in this race, and I think he'll be happy if he can hold it to a top 5, but he'll still be gutted it's not a potential podium right now. But then again, you never know what's going to happen until it's all said and done, as they make their way onto lap number 8, and meanwhile from them, we look back to Alan McCain, who right now has, where's Joseph Doble coming through? In fact, Joseph Doble has gained some ground here versus the driver McCain over the course of the last couple of laps, and has got ahead. And as they make the way down towards turn number 3, well, right now Joseph Doble has to go defensive. Remember, he's got the maximum success factor in that car, Joseph Doble, and the fact that he's been able to gain 3 places and move from P15 his starting position to P12, well, that's going to give him a couple of points, but it's also going to be critical in the fact I have no weight going to the next race. But meanwhile from them, Mark Sykes battling with Kieran Sharp. Sharp up the inside, takes P17 overall off of the Mark Sykes Designs driver, and Ben Altria versus Matthew Addy just behind, and these two have had a great little scrap only moments ago, and this is exactly what happened at the battle for P19. While I say that, we're not going to cut away to it, it's still all going, and Addy back on the inside here. Altria turns in, finds Paul Scott there trying to get down the inside, but Altria just turns in time, and the 504 Full Tilt V Motorsport Elantra does just enough to stay ahead right now, albeit these three in a great little battle as well as they make the way up in towards turns 7 and 8 here, but at any moment it could take another turn, and Mark Kempney will close up behind Jonathan Collins, who's fallen off the back of Paul Scott over the last few laps, and indeed Mark Kent now trying to put some more pressure on before this is all over, albeit they've only got 2 more laps after this one, so therefore Kent's going to have to put the work in out if he wants to get this done. It's easier said than done. Catches one thing, overtaken is another, as the late Murray Walker once said. Indeed, he would have been 100 today if he was still with us, ladies and gentlemen. Think about that for a moment, the legend of motorsport commentary. But as I try to make the way on through, we look back to your race leader here, and Dan Mould right now, the SRL driver, being absolutely chased the limit by Adam Delmont as they make the way through turn 13 to 14, going on to the penultimate lap here in this first race of the day. And as they come out of the right-hander and onwards towards turn number 1, the number 80 driver here, will Delmont with him, and Delmont losing the place into turn 1, only 2 laps to go under what we believe may have been the circumstances of a slowdown penalty. And as they come into the right-hander, meanwhile there's been an incident for Mark Sykes. He's gone off track at turns 13 and 14 from what I'm hearing in my ear. We'll try and get a replay of that when we can, ladies and gents, but we stay with these leaders for now as they charge way into the braking zone for turn number 3, and with Delmont close but still not able to quite extract a move here. And we can see that Honda gets closer under braking like no other car, and that's where the strength of the Honda lies, in its ability to close up on the brakes and as they make the way out, turn number 4 up towards 5, which is going to be Mould, who's going slowly here, and I think he's got to yield the position due to track limits, perhaps cutting a curb too high, all 30 using too much whip to go into a corner, and in fact Adam Delmont retakes the lead there, so much like he lost it, he takes it back due to a track limit slowdown for Dan Mould, and now the battle continues to rage on, albeit they're back to their original formation. And as they make the one through, we take a look back what happened to Mark Sykes at the end of lap number 8, and here is the replay, ladies and gentlemen. Making his way through turn 13, takes a lot of apex curve that unsettles the car and causes the front right to dip into the road surface there, and the car into the gravel, and having to try and get the car restarted there, and a difficult moment for Mark Sykes, no doubt about it. But as we return to your live pictures, ladies and gentlemen, well, we do say hello there to Reese Watt, also to Spinks 1985, and Mark Trade for all in the YouTube chat. And well, right now Reese Watt not able to race today, but cheering on his teammate Ian Manners, who's still trying to find a way past Lee Horn in this battle for the lead of the Prime class. They make the way on through turn number 10, but as they do, well, right now I think everyone's going to start to be concertina back together for the simple reason that William Guthrie at the front of this field is keeping Gavin Garner at bay, but the gap to Garner has come down to 2 tenths in the running towards turn number 11, but Guthrie doing enough to stay ahead this time. There'll be one more lap, and well, the big question will be, will it be the same when they come around next time, or will Garner have his shot as Guthrie there goes a little bit deep through 12 to open up 13, but remember, the wider you make the run into turn 13, the sharper you've got to turn in for 14 there, so you do want to try and balance that angle you take in turns 13 and 14. White flag is out. Adam Delmont leads this race by 6 tenths ahead of Dan Mould, and it is a further 4.5 seconds to William Guthrie in P3. In his debut, he's put off a stellar performance here to hold on to P3 as they make the way up towards turn number 3. As they charge the way on down, we look to the back of this field, and this is Alan McCain, who has fallen off recently, as has Joseph Doble. These two in a battle of their own now for P12, and will Joseph Doble trying to hold on here, wants to take that track position into race number 2, and the points that come with it. You can see how hard he's having to defend there, defending in the middle of the road into turn number 3, and this enables Voet to make his way up behind them, albeit 1.4 seconds they make the way out to turn number 4, but Luciano Voet could still find a way back into this battle as Doble continues to defend here, and we'll keep in mind iRacing Esports here, and McCain in particular eager to get as many more points as he can in order to support the team's aspirations to finish inside the top 10, indeed the top 5 of the championship when all is said and done at the end of this season. And indeed iRacing Esports here, we may find that the momentum takes a bit of a hit in this race, given the fact they are quite far down the order compared to where they'd like to be, and Nick can find eyes at Doble, and Doble Sim Racing really keeping iRacing Esports at bay currently. But as Clemens all over the back of Isaac Doble, and they make the way out of the S and E towards turn number 9. Well, Clemens looking for the move, going to try and go around the outside of his fellow prime driver for class position of P6. Can't quite find it, but meanwhile, all gloves are off here between Guthrie and Garner as they come through turn number 10. And look at Mikey Doble, looks up the inside with there both Garner and Guthrie getting it all out of sorts on the power in their battle. And as they make their way down to the braking zone, Doble will be alongside Garner, but who's going to be the one who makes it under braking here? Doble's going to go in, he's going to go for a two-way pass, and it's contact with Guthrie, and he's sent to the gravel, and that's a disaster for him. But meanwhile, it's not a disaster for this man, for as he makes his way out the final corner, he will take the first win of the day, albeit only by half a second, but still winning's winning, and Adam Delmont proves exactly that as he takes the checkered flag for Mark Sykes Designs, head of Dan Mould P2, and it'll be a further 6 seconds back in an absolutely crazy into the race. Gavin Garner P3 for NXTGEN Racing Ping. Lee Horn takes the Prime class, winning the MP4 overall for Sam Case for NXTGEN, head of William Guthrie P5, Ian Manners P6 there, runner-up in the Prime class, head of Andrew Pike P7, Russell Fowler P8, Jamie Dory P9, Alex Maddow P10, and it'll be Joseph Doble P11, Alan McCain P12, Luciano Voet P13 ahead of Isaac Doble and Nick Clemens, and then Kieran Sharp P16 ahead of Matthew Addy, with Mikey Doble and Ian Harron to settle for P18. After that, moving to turn 11 right at the end of the race, ended up with him in the gravel. We'll take a look back at that very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. Ben Altria P19 ahead of Paul Scott P20, Jonathan Collins P21 ahead of James Mansesgal, Mark Kemp P23, Ian Will P24, and then it will be Mark Sykes P25 ahead of Michael Lees, who finishes a lap down but is our last finisher of this race. And well, then Matthew Sheraton, our sole retiree, not able to make it to the grid. Unfortunate, no doubt, or question about it for Michael Lees and Matthew Cheverton. But meanwhile, the question many of you will be asking is what exactly happened to Mikey Doble right at the end of that move? Well, let's take a quick look back and find out. And this is under braking, up the inside of Garner, goes for the double pass here, gets it to the apex, and will Guthrie in the end turns in to find Doble. Now the question is, of course, did Guthrie turn in and turn Doble across, or was Doble perhaps a little bit too eager with the move? Well, you could say there's an argument for both places, a bit of rubbing there with what was Vivoid and also Clemens' cars. We take a look back at that instant from the perspective of Guthrie as he came down to the braking zone. While riding on board, he turns in, and then there's Sonny Doble there, and I think Guthrie in the end not expecting Doble to be there whatsoever, and with a full tilt V Motorsport driver, he won't be too pleased about how that's ended, neither will Doble, to be fair. I think he would have thought he got the move all pulled off and said and done. And we ride on board here with Mikey Doble, and what a brilliant opportunity, and then it just is about to hit the apex, it goes around there, and still that's race one of the day concluded, ladies and gentlemen. We've still got 2 more races to come as all the drivers do cool down here and make their way in to the pit lane, but as they do a fantastic race number 1, there's no doubt about it. And whilst it did get a little bit hectic right at the end, it has to be said, the battle for the win plus also the battle for P3 overall has definitely set us up in terms of the tempo for the remainder of the racing today as all drivers continue to make their way into the pit lane. Difficult first race of the day for Aztec Racing in the form of James Mansell P22, will be 2 places gained overall, so some progress made, but you'll know some more progress will need to be made in the second race of the day. With that, as they all come into the pit lane, let's take you through those race results subject to any stewards' inquiries, and here they are. So as we can see, after 10 laps of racing in the first race of round 8 of Season 4 of the NXTGEN Racing Touring Car Championship, and indeed sponsored by Heinz Automotive here on iRacing, Adam Delmont taking the win for Mark Sykes Designs by half a second over SRL's Dan Mould, with NXTGEN Racing Pink's Gavin Garner rounded off the overall podium there, P3. P4 to your prime winner for with same case for NXTGEN Lee Horn, head over William Guthrie, P5 for Full Tilt V Motorsport. 3 attempts back, Ian Manners, P6, runner-up in the prime class for JW Motorsport. He gave it everything to hunt down Lee Horn, but in the end has had to settle for P6, but I think he'll be very happy with the points all the same. Andrew Pyatt, P7 for the Sim Racing Collective, made some early progress in the race, but then couldn't seem to find a way to break into the top 6, ahead of Russell Fowler for Performance Link Esports, and needed Russell Fowler having a race where he finished where he started, but still at 3rd place in the prime class to wrap up that prime podium of Horn, Manners and Fowler. I don't think he'll complain too much of that, given the fact he needs the points here today, and that's a great way to start off, ahead of Jamie Dory for NXTGEN Racing Ping and Alex Meredith for Kenry Tour E Motorsport, who complete your top 10. Joseph Doble P11 for Doble Sim Racing, at best of the rest there, in a great drive to finish P11 just outside the success ballast range of the top 10, and therefore expect him to come absolutely soaring through the field in race number 2 for Doble Sim Racing, head of iRacing Esports Alan McCain, and then Luciano Vivoid on his debut for what was Brabham Esports P13, head of Doble Sim Racing's Isaac Doble, and then Nick Clemens for iRacing Esports completing your top 15. Kieran Sharp P16 there for the Sim Racing Collective in a difficult first race of the day, and the same could be said for Matthew Addy for Sam Case with NXTGEN, and then Mikey Doble at P18 with that last lap move not quite working out, and the Doble Sim Racing driver missing out on the top 5, and instead now finishing it towards the bottom end of the top 20, but still 2 more races to go, and he'll be quick on the foot, there's no doubt about it, with Ben Altria and Paul Scott completing the top 20, and then Jonathan Collins P21 ahead of James Francis Gow, with Mark Kent, Ian Wood and Mark Sykes completing the top 25, and all of your finishers who finished on the lead lap, and then finishing a lap down at Michael Lees with a difficult start to his race for Mark Sykes Designs, and our sole retiree and non-finisher of the race due to issues with the car before he could get it onto the grid, Matthew Sheraton for Aztec Racing at P27. But that concludes our first race of the day, ladies and gentlemen. We've still got another 2 to come, and 2 more 10-lap races upcoming, starting with race number 2, and we will be back in approximately 10 to 11 minutes time for the build-up to our second race of the day. And well, given how close race number 1 was, I can expect, and I think you should expect, plenty more sparks to fly in race number 2. But will we see a repeat win for Adam Delmont from pole position in race 2, or could we see Dan Mould find a way on through to victory? And in the prime class, can Lee Horn keep Ian Manners at bay, or could we see Manners or perhaps even Russell Fowler find a way to claim the first win here in Japan? We'll have to wait and see. All that and more coming up very shortly. Don't go anywhere, you won't want to miss it. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for the build-up to our second race of the day. Race 2 of 3 is coming up in just under 3 minutes' time. And after a fantastic first race of the day, where we got to see plenty of battles up and down the field, albeit a very difficult circuit to overtake at this Twin Ring Motegi Grand Prix circuit, we got to see in the end Adam Delman coming away with the win, albeit by only half a second over Dan Mould. But meanwhile, in the battle for P3, it was Gavin Garner who took the win in that battle in the end, and the final spot on the overall podium for NXTGEN Racing Peak, albeit it could have been anybody of 11 drivers. And whilst Mikey Doble did go for a late move versus his rival out there, indeed William Guthrie, who managed to keep him at bay for the majority of the time, but in the end the two having contact. We've seen a couple of you giving your thoughts in the YouTube chat, including Kurt Worry, who was saying that Mikey was never making that corner. I do believe the he being in reference to Mikey Doble, and Benji Racing saying that well done to Adam Delman, and what an intense battle for third place, and the same for Mark Draper there. But we also do say hello to a good number of you, including what is, I do believe, Velocity Breaker, who says start a end a nice one at Russell, go at PLE, and cheering on Performance Link Esports there. It's Velocity Breaker in the YouTube chat. Also we see Andrew Pint remarking, so hard to pass here, weight is absolutely killer too. And we'll say hello to Handsome Shoe, who advises Andrew Pint to lay off the crisps then, always with the very classic and witty comments there. Handsome Shoe, absolutely loving it. And also Matthew Sheraton clarifying in the YouTube chat, this PC decided it didn't like him, so it didn't load the racing time. Hopefully he got it sorted now and be back for the next 2 races. Well, we would love to see that, and here is Matthew Sheraton. He's back on circuit, and well, the 390 driver, we wouldn't be without him, ladies and gentlemen, the Brit, as he makes his way on around for turn number 10 in the Honda Civic Type R from Team ATR, and as he makes his way down that back straight and up towards turn number 11, hopefully he can get his races off to a flying start, albeit he'll be starting for the back of the field. He knows he's on camera, he's flashing the lights, and it's good to see him there and enjoying himself, and that's what it's all about. And I had the pleasure of catching up with Matt and also the Aztec Racing guys this weekend, just got at Brands Hatch. I can tell you they're a wonderful group. Do check them out, ladies and gentlemen. Very friendly group at Aztec Racing, and well, we love to see them on the grid in their very standout livery machines. And as he makes his way up towards the timeline, he'll be getting himself all ready and set to go for race number 2. But right now, this is the man who really will be thinking, okay, I've done it once, I need to take the win again here to really build that championship point toll, get ahead of Reese Watt and find that championship lead today. But of course, the one thing Lee Horne's got to now deal with is that he will be carrying the full play success ballast going into this second race of the day, and that means that he is going to be carrying 28.5 kilograms of success ballast in the car. And I can tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen, that weight in the car is absolutely going to change the way it behaves. He had no weight going into the first race, but now he will, and he is going to feel it every step of the way. But can he pull it off? Let's find out, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for race number 2. So our drivers make their way onto the grid. This is how they'll line up for race number 2. It is Adam Delman who takes pole position for Mark Sykes Designs, and win on the front row once again is Dan Mould starting P2 for SRL. It's then Gavin Garner who starts P3 for NXTGEN Racing Peak, joined on the second row by your pro and pole sitter of Lee Horn for Sam Case for NXTGEN. Then William Guthrie for Full Tilt B Motorsport, and JW Motorsport's Ian Manners line up in row number 3. Row 4 goes to Andrew Pint for the Sim Racing Collective and Russell Fowler for Performance Link Esports, with the top 10 being completed by Jamie Dorian and Alex Meredith. And then behind them on row number 6 is Joseph Doble for Doble Sim Racing ahead of iRacing Esports' Alan McCain. Row 7 they'll go to Luciano Voet ahead of with Isaac Doble, with Nick Clemens and Kieran Sharp line up on row number 8. Row 9 goes to Matthew Addy and Mikey Doble, with Ben Altrier and Paul Scott completing your top 20. Jonathan Collins and James Masters-Gow line up on row number 11 ahead of Mark Kent and Ian Wild on row number 12. And then on what will be our final complete row, it's Mark Sykes and Michael Lees, with Matthew Sheraton starting last but not least, P27. But the grid is set, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for lights, and it is going to be 1 red light, 2 red lights, 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights. And it's lights out, and away we go for our second race of the day as Adam Delman once again gets a good start. But look at Gavin Garner immediately going on the offensive around the outside of Dan Mould if he can. Mould having a slow start. Lee Horn also getting a good launch off the line. But as they all make their way through the opening quarters, everybody here too wide, and now trying to put a bit more pressure on in the early stages of this race. We saw a very tentative lap 1 at race number 1. Car off in the back of the picture. That's Matthew Addy, I think, who's been elbowed wide slightly in a bit of a battle with another driver. Can't quite discern who he's been battling with, but he has been given the elbow. And as they make their way way into turn number 3. Meanwhile, Andrew Pike here trying to hold off what is Russell Fowler, who's trying to make some early gains as they make their way over the corner, and Russell Fowler's bad luck returns as he's turned around there in a bit of contact, further contact, netco contact, I do believe, with what was the Honda there, Kieran Sharp, and as Fowler returns, Kieran Sharp's going to have a wounded car as they all now concertina their way down into turn number 5. Alex Meda from the outside, they have Isaac Doble, and looks to try and gain the place and hold it, but meanwhile at the front of the field, here comes Dan Mould. He's going up the inside into 6, around the outside of 7, and Adam Delman doesn't have a response to it as Mould does take the lead in this race as they wind their way through the S's for the first time of asking, and Dan Mould takes the lead for SRL ahead of Delman, with Gardner now tucked in behind as they make their way in towards turn number 9, but onto the brakes they go, and as they do, Lee Horn also getting into the fray there as they make their way through the left-hander, but he can't seem to find a way through, can Lee Horn at the moment. He's going to have to wait once again, and we can understand perhaps a little bit of frustration kicking in the fact that he just wants to make that progress, but it's not coming. Meanwhile, Andrew Pike on the outside there, going into turn number 10, and well, with that, William Guthrie's going to hold him at bay, but Ian Manners is also given an opportunity to come through, and Pike just cannot seem to clear Manners, whatever he does here, and well, whether it's under his own volition or another driver getting involved, Pike right now having to fight his way back through, but look at Joseph Doble, and remember what we said, watch out for Doble at the start of this race. He starts in P11, he's already up to P8, he's trying to take P7 here, on the inside line through turn number 11, he's forced to the outside now at 12, this will cost him the run he needs, unless he can hang it round the outside of 13, to the inside of 14, contact there, has to back off as Jamie Dory switches back, takes plenty of grass, as I think he tries to replicate a move from Jake Hill, and as they make the way up towards turn at number 1, well, right now Dory's going to have the run here versus Joseph on the inside, onto the brakes they go, and as they do, going to all the under braking here, it's going to be side by side between the two of them, and in the end it's going to be what is Joseph on the outside and loses the place as Jamie Dory picks up P8. So after one lap of racing and down towards turn 3 they go, it's Dan Mould who leads, and Adam Dell P2, Gavin Goddard P3, Lee Horn your prime leader P4, William Guthrie P5, Ian Manners P6, runner up in the prime class currently, Andrew Pike P7, Jamie Dory P8 ahead of Joseph Doble P9, and then Alan McCain completes your top 10 with P3 there in the prime class currently as he makes his way up towards turn number 5. They charge their way on down, and meanwhile best race P11 is Alex Meredith, who after a relatively sedate race number 1, after making some early ground and nothing more than that, this time Alex Meredith already going on the offensive. He's already lost a chunk of his front bumper over the left front wheel arch, I do believe, and that could be costing him some straight line speed, but right now Meredith not afraid to get his elbows out if he needs to in order to go racing, and as they make their way into the S's, meanwhile we do look here at Nick Clemens, who's battling contact with Mikey Doble. Doble turns sideways there as I think the door was partially open for Doble. He went for an Indian. Clemens shuts the door, not expecting Doble to go for it. Meanwhile, Sheraton versus Mark Sykes. Well, Sheraton, remember, started from the back of the field, so he's trying to recover his way from P27 to as far as he can. Sykes on the inside there, Sheraton on the outside. Side by side, they come out the corner, and as they make the way up towards turn at number 10, onto the brakes they go. Sheraton in the tow here. Can he find a way on through? He's going to go in, use the Honda's brakes to his advantage, gets the car, stops on a dime, and up the inside of the Audi, and that's how you get it done in order to take a place. But now keep in mind that Sykes, by the Audi's top speed to come back at him as they drag race their way down towards turn number 11. But who out of the twos are going to be the bet on the brakes? Well, Sheraton arguably will be the bet on the brakes, but he's on that inside line. Sykes can carry more speed up high, but in the end Sheraton will cover it off an apex. Sykes tries to cut back, but he's not quite able to get the runner all the way around the outside of 12, or is he? As they go under the bridge, well, at the end Sheraton does get it held, and Sykes has to stay in P22 for the time being. But meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, suspend the thought as Dan Mould goes on to lap 3. Meanwhile, the battle for P2, it seems that Adam Delman with all that weight to the car is causing the floodgates to open here, and he's trying to keep them shut. He's trying to erect a very rapidly assembled dam here in terms of making sure no more places flow on through as Adam Delman holds on to P2, but already your race leader is 1.7 seconds clear and running away with things as we ride on board and look back for the rear of the box. Sykes designs 37 Honda, and as he comes out of turn 3 into 4, the problem here is the fact that with that 56 kilograms, Delmont's just got no straight line speed anymore. He's got no toe for Mould, so therefore he is literally now having to do all the battling under braking here. And the problem with that is the fact that whilst this Honda has got very strong brakes, if he makes even the smallest of errors and goes slightly deep into the corner, he locks up, it means that Delmont will suddenly lose at least one, if not multiple places, because Gardner right now right behind him. And whilst Gardner's got the weight of the car, he does have the best part of what is around 40 kilograms of weight with the third place finish in the previous race. It's not going to be as much weight as the 48 in Delmont's car, and therefore right now Delmont are definitely feeling the pain as they make the way out towards turn number 9, and Garda thinks about it, not quite close to. Guthrie as well will have the weight of the car. That's going to hurt him, and that'll be his first taste of success bust after a brilliant first race of the day. And as they make the way out towards turn number 10, where you see the long line of cars. Meanwhile, further back, Isaac Doble here squaring off versus what is Bitcoin, and also Ultria as they head to the braking zone. Michael Lees looks up the inside, makes it 3 wide, tries to get the door open there. A little bit latency as well. He will stay on that inside line, but Isaac Doble gets the better exit as they make their way down the back straight, heading down towards turn number 11. And as they make the way on through in towards the braking zone here, nothing between them right now, albeit Lees is going to try and do what Mikey Doble tried to do previous race. He goes for it there, albeit with a bit of contact with Isaac Doble. That leads to Ben Ultria coming through. Ultria says, don't mind if I do. And as they make the way 2 wide through turn number 12, Ultria's going to go around the outside to the inside of 14. And Ultria, there were a brilliant move, makes his way up a position, albeit still side by side with Doble, has to give him some space. A bit more contact between the two. Ultria's trying to close the door, but Isaac Doble says, no, I'm here, you can't just get rid of me. And as they make the way out towards turn number 1, Ultria defends the inside. Isaac Doble's going to go for the cutback here. Ultria goes a little bit deep as they come around the corner. Isaac Doble with a brilliant move, carve off there in the distance, I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken. That is Alan McCain who's ended up on the grass for some reason or another. Ian Manners has also been involved in a bit of a shunt from what I understand, albeit he's dropped a couple places but not as many. We'll try and understand what exactly has happened very shortly, but it's pandemonium here in Japan right now as our drivers continue to exchange places, and what Isaac Doble right now back behind Ultria after the run through turns 3 and 4. Ultria digging in for this position, Doble doing the same, which caused them to lose times to Michael Lees in front, Mikey Doble and Kieran Sharp right behind. Paul Scott tucks in with Matthew Addy hot on his heels, and Ian Manners there as well, albeit Nick Clemens between the two of them. And we take a quick look back as to what happened between Alan McCain and Ian Manners. Well, the two of them come to contact there through turn number 1 and further contacted to 2, and McCain turned across the front of Manners, albeit then they also had what was the car cut up behind him, I do believe. That was Vivoid, who was also looking for the move there, albeit no contact, but 3 does not go to 2 wide at the best of times. And McCain and Manners showing you exactly why that's the case and what happens when you try to force a 3 wide through a 2 wide apex corner. But as they make the way back up to speed, and indeed we return to your live pictures, ladies and gentlemen, we look back to the battle here for P3 between God and Guthrie. And well, ever since we talked about the pressure on Delmont, he seems to have found a way to relieve that pressure. As I was trying to say, alleviate, relieve at the same time. They're both doing the same thing in this context, my apologies. And as they come down towards turn number 11, right now God and Guthrie side by side come from the right hand, and God are trying to prevent Guthrie from getting alongside the inside into 12, but Guthrie's there, and as they come through the left-hander, well, God loses the place. Meanwhile, it's going to be Joseph Doble who absolutely clatters his way up the inside into 14 versus Lee Horn. Jamie Dory comes on through, and Lee Horn feels as though he's being mugged here as they make the way up towards turn 1, but keep in mind as well, Lee Horn has got the full play success ballast in this car, 28.5 kilograms in that Honda Civic Type R, so he's experiencing to a similar extent what Adam Delmont in P2's experiencing. He's just not got the pace anymore in the car, and it's leaving him vulnerable. But whilst they power the way down, this man is catching up, and we ride on board with a second place prime driver right now, Alex Meredith, who's looking to try and find his way into this battle. But can we to emerge what and pick up a win? And it's been some time since we've seen Meredith on the top step of the prime class podium. But as he comes on through in turn number 4 and powers his way up towards 5, he's got the time here, he's got plenty of time available to him. We're only at the halfway point of this race practically now, as Horn having to go defence here. Meredith switches to the outside, and under braking they're going to turn number 5, and Horn there on a compromise line that's going to cost him a lot of speed off the corner. And as they make the way out, Meredith gets the better exit. He's almost alongside by nose, and in the end he's practically pushing Horn along as they make the way through 6. Meredith looks to the inside into 7. Horn covers it off, switch back now, and Horn then moves into his position to stay at the race line, which he's allowed to do. And as they come through 7 into 8 here, left into right they go, and Meredith looking for a way alongside Horn, making his car as wide as humanly possible right now, and goes away. Meredith decides to say, right, well, the Honda's got some great brakes, let me show you what the Elantra can do. Gets for the alongside into turn number 9, costs them both the pace right now, but Meredith, I think, trying to get ahead whilst he's still got the tyre life available. Meanwhile, behind them, Mikey Doble trying to get the inside of Lees. Lees covers him off, defending on the outside there, feeling as though Lees will be more focused on battling with Doble and therefore not a concern. Middletree and Isaac Doble just behind. They're still battling for P4 in the prime class as they power the one down. But meanwhile, looking to Andrew Pye versus Joseph Doble as they come in towards turn number 11. Garner just in front P4, and as they come off the corner, well, now it's going to be the middle-aged member of the Doble family in terms of the three brothers there, albeit all of them young. But it's Mikey, Joseph, and then Isaac in terms of ages from oldest to youngest, I do believe. But right now, Joseph Doble fighting well to get back ahead there. Andrew Pye, and now Jamie Dory is going to try and find a way on for it to turn number 1. As they head towards the braking zone, well, as they do, will Dory go in the corner, and Andrew Pye tries to cut it back. In the end, makes contact with the rear quarter panel of Dory's car. But that goes to show you how hard both of them push him, with the fact that in the end, Pye can't look for the cutback. He has to look for the long way around. But Dory, in the end, rubbing pain. And now Pye comes back doing the exact same thing as Dory into turn number 3. And as they come through, Dory onto the grass there. And I think Vincenzo's been elbowed wide slightly. And Pye gains the place back with Lee Horn and Alex Meredith now coming on through as well. And their battle right at the epicentre of all this as they make the way down into turn number 5 once again. But Horn holds on. Meanwhile, as they all come down to the braking zone, we look further back here to the freeway fight for P9 in at the pro class between Ian Manners, Matthew Sheraton and Mark Sykes. Manners, of course, having to now make a recovery drive with success ballast in the car after that contact with what was Alan McCain earlier on. As they come through turn number 6 and in towards 7 they go. Well, Manners right now just about keeping Sheraton at arm's length, and Sykes there ready to pounce where he feels the need, and the deed is right to do. But as they make the way on around, we look to Luciano Vivoet here being passed to the inside by what is their Mikey Doble. That's the battle for P10 as they come through and heading up towards turn number 11 right now. And it looks as though the Doble Sim Racing drive gets it done. Vivoet defence inside, at least tries to look for a way, and he can't quite find it. Vivoet looking further and further behind him now as all the field groups up behind, and as they make the way out to the right hander and up towards turn number 11, down towards the braking zone they go. And these drivers continue to push on as much as they possibly can, albeit the fight being on here between them. And heading in towards that braking zone, well, will we see a move here between Middletree? We will indeed, as at least in the end having to get his elbows out to try and keep Alltree at bay. Alltree knocked sideways slightly as they come through turn number 12 into 13, and behind we can see their Isaac Doble looking for a sneak peek, but he can't find his way in. And as they make the way out to turn number 13, 14 and onwards towards turn number 1, 94 laps to go as they head down the start for this straight. And will meanwhile Michael Lee's carrying on, but he's going to look up the inside here versus Voet as they head through turn 1, side by side between these two. And as they come out to the right hander and up towards turn number 3, well, right now these two are locked in. There's no doubt about it. The Bradford Esports driver trying to keep the Mark Sykes Designs driver at bay, but that means the top 10 is just gradually inching away as time winds on here today at the Twin Ring Motegi circuit. And you can see Alltree comes on through on the inside. Lease goes a bit deep as a result of the battling with the pro driver, and right now Michael Lease moves up into, will boost down to P4 in the class. Meanwhile P3 in the class now for Alltree as they head down towards turn number 5. Onto the brakes they go, and meanwhile further behind Ian Manners battling side by side here versus Matthew Addy, and the JW Motorsport driver, well, he manages to make the move count there up the inside, gets another place. And will these two Honda drivers right now on very different days. Manners has got all the pace, but right now having to recover. Meanwhile Matthew Addy just does not seem to have the pace of the car. Sheraton looks for the move up the inside. It's the battle of the two Matthews, and as they come on through turn 7 into 8, well, it's going to be Sheraton who makes the lunge initially, but now on the outside of 8, on the inside into 9, side by side they go under braking here as they make the way on in, and under our blimp camera you can see that Addy trying to outbrake Sheraton, but Sheraton with that natural inside line, shorter braking distance, but a key point being that Sheraton able to force the door back open, gets the move done. Addy's down the inside now into turn number 11, and Addy doing the exact same return, saying to comply that game, goes a little bit deep. Sheraton gets the cut back here, going for the corner. Bit of a rub between the turbos. Mark Sykes watches on from behind as they drag their way down the back straight now. Heading towards the braking zone here for turn number 11, and where it's Addy who's got himself ahead. No real overlap here for Sheraton, but Sheraton may try to go for it. He does it, deep being so close, and in the end Addy turns in, but Sheraton makes sure to seal the door, and with that Sheraton takes P9 in the prime class, P19 overall, as they now make the way on to lap number 8. And we'll speak it all at lap number 8. Here's your race leader, sets a personal best at 204.363. Dan Mould is absolutely flying up front. He's 4 seconds clear, and it's William Guthrie who right now back battling with Adam Delmont, trying to hold on here as they make the way out to turn at number 2 and up towards 3, with then what is, I believe, Joseph Doble P4 and everybody behind right now in this long line of cars, all trying to fight for what is the best spot outside of the podium finishing positions here. And Joseph Doble doing everything right as we ride aboard and look back from the rear of the Doble Sim Racing driver in the number 11. And will Joseph Doble having started P11 on this grid, it should be pointed out. He's gained 7 places so far, and he's still looking for more here as this race winds on down. He'd love to get on the podium, but I think a P4 will be great, and will give him the fact that his brother Mikey right now in the championship battle is having a difficult day. Well, right now Joseph Doble feels though he's staying ahead of Mikey, but the problem he's got is Dan Mould is on course to take a win here, which when added to his P2 finish in race number 1, it will mean that Dan Mould could be on course for taking that championship lead with only 2 rounds to go, and drop scores have yet to be factored in, of course, and that will be a big conundrum that will shake up the field even more as Doble makes his way into turn number 9. Under brake, and there you go. And meanwhile, at the back of this group, Mikey Doble at the inside of Jamie Dory. Side by side, the pair go. The Doble Sim Racing driver in number 18 gains another place. Head of Dory this time and moves up to P9. So doing a great recovery. Mikey Doble recovering from P18, which is where he finished in race number 1 after that unfortunate end. And now halving at the deficit to the very top as he makes his way up to speed. As they make the way on down the back straight here, everybody nose to tail once again, and a little bit further behind, we look to Isaac Doble, who's still trying to find a way to battle for the final spot on the Prime podium, albeit he's got to get past Michael Lees and Ben Altria if he wants to get this started, albeit Altria right now, I think, feeling as though things are going his way quite nicely, albeit Michael Lees is right there and ready to attack if the opportunity does present itself. But as they wind their way through turns 12 and 13, Lees they're getting very close to the back of Altria, a bit of nose to tail contact between the two. Lees losing his line as a result as he has a poor run out the corner, and look at this of Isaac Doble as they make their way down the start finish straight. Doble on the inside, meanwhile Lees falling behind on the outside there. Kieran Sharp inching close as well. Sharp's going to go for the move here, gets tight on the inside, a bit of contact. Isaac Doble goes deep. I think there's a bit of contact there between Lees and Doble, albeit latency also playing an effect there. Isaac Doble not too happy, flashing his lights to say to Lees, you push me forward. And will Lees right now has got more things to worry about the form of Kieran Sharp. Paul Scott switches back to the inside, can't find his way on through. Meanwhile Nick Clemens looking around the outside versus his rivals. We can see that Isaac Doble sliding sideways. I think there's been some further contact. I think that might have been with Paul Scott, unless I'm very much mistaken. But the point is that Isaac Doble loses out massively as Matthew Shepperton comes on through, and it's all going wrong for Doble Sim Racing across the 2 races. But meanwhile, Manners right now looking to gain another place, or at least consecrate this place, and that's the form of it's the battle for P16 overall, P6 the Pro class, as he keeps ahead of Nick Clemens this time, and through the right-hander at turn number 6 they go. But as they do it, and up towards 7 and 8, and meanwhile from them we look a little bit further up the order to Alex Meredith, who right now hasn't got the time to really focus on trying to take on Leon for the win of the class. As meanwhile Mikey Doble looks up the inside, Meredith tries to bend Doble getting on through, trying to gain spot overall points here and also gain a bit more time in the spotlight, it would seem. But meanwhile the Kevin Motorsport driver with this, he's going to bring Jamie Dory in to the fold here as they make the way through the right-hander at turn number 10 and down towards 11. Leon now a second clear, and I think feeling as though it could be a double win on the cards at the minimum today as they make the way on down the penultimate time of asking in this second race. But in towards the braking zone they go. Mikey looking up the inside once again, but he can't quite find it, and Meredith meanwhile just holding a position as Jamie Dory watches on there P10, and well, the number 1 spot you want to be if you're not able to win this race course, ladies and gentlemen, is P13. That's Kieran Sharp right now, because then you're guaranteed to be within that reverse grid whatever number is pulled from the lottery bowl, with 13th being the lowest. And as he makes his way out of turn number 14, Michael Lees goes wide there. Lees having a poor run through the corner, that's twice now he's had a difficult run through turn number 14. As Kieran Sharp makes his way into turn number 1. We're right now not feeling too much pressure there from his rival behind, as meanwhile Ian Manners still caught behind Paul Scott and Nick Clemens right on his backside as they make the way up towards turn number 3. We're charging away on down. You can see the Audi there able to break away quite comfortably. Meanwhile the Honda from JW Motorsport under pressure from the Elantra Clemens, but note how that Elantra, whilst it's on the back, not quite able to get fully alongside. And I think tyre degradation may be a factor that's proving more and more pivotal in just holding back the power of that Elantra in terms of its 1 lap pace as the time goes on. But upwards towards turn 5 they go, and as they do, meanwhile Mark Sykes, they're taking a look to the outside versus Isaac Doble, switches back to the inside, can't quite find it, falls back in formation here as they now start the run through the sweepers, and we jump aboard here with the 666 Audi battling for P9 in Pro Class, P19 overall, as the P20 driver here looks for one last opportunity to find his way past Isaac Doble before this race is said and done. Look to gain one more place to put himself right in the middle of what will be those reverse grid eligible positions as he makes his way out of turn number 7 up towards turns 8 and 9. In fact, into 9 now he goes. You can just see how the Audi there not quite able to find a way under the skin of the Veloster driver in front. Indeed, I think Sykes right now just tucking in behind and trying to hold position, but as they head into the braking zone, meanwhile there's contact there, and Manners, well, that's onto the grass. Contact further with Sheraton as the two of them head towards the inside wall almost, but they both survive. Sheraton in further contact with Manners, who is sent round and pointed in the wrong direction. Rear wing damage, and for Manners it's ended in disaster. But meanwhile for one driver, he won't be worried about all that as the checker flag gets ready to wave. It's going to be a superb win for SRL's Dan Mould, who takes victory in race number 2 by 4.2 seconds to the end over William Guthrie, who finishes runner-up there for Full Tilt V Motorsport. Adam Delmont P3 to complete the podium. Joseph Doble P4 ahead of Gavin Garner P5, Andrew Pipe P6, Lee Horn with second prime win today, P7, Mikey Doble P8, Jamie Dory P9, Alex Meredith runner-up P10, and that's runner-up in the prime class. Luciano Vivoit P11 there for Bram Esports, ahead of Ben Altria P12, who completes the prime podium, ahead of Kieran Sharp P13, Michael Lees P14, Paul Scott P15, Nick Clemens just missed out on the prime top 5, P16 class, P16 overall, ahead of Isaac Doble P17, Matthew Sheraton P18, Mark Sykes P19, Matthew Eddy completes the top 20, Russell Fowler P21 missed his front bumper there, and it's been a difficult second race for the 61 driver ahead of Alan McCain P22, Ian Will P23 ahead of Ian Manners after that late spin, which we'll get a replay very shortly, and it will be Jonathan Collins P25 for Whiskey Rose for NXTGEN since the personal best of the final lap of the race, ahead of James Pascal P26 and Mark Kent P27 in the end. All the drivers finishing on the lead lap. All 27 starters finishing this race, ladies and gentlemen. But what a race indeed. But what exactly happened right at the end between Ian Manners and Nick Clemens? Here's the replay. Let's find out. As they made the way down in towards turn number 10, well, there was contact between the two of them. I think there was netcode contact thrown into the mix there, because it looked as though Sonny Clemens' car was turned across the front of Manners, even though the two cars were not touching at the time. And then I think a little bit of red temper flare between Sheraton and Manners, which saw Manners then turn into the wall. He won't be too pleased about that one, but definitely an intriguing moment between Clemens and Manners, and I think that was unexpected by both of them. But as we return to your live pictures, ladies and gentlemen, what a second race a day. And I can see a number of you there, including Mr. BF John and Benji Race in the YouTube chat, saying well done to Dan Mould for a superb drive to victory in this second race. And well, credit where it is due. The Full Tilt V Motorsport driver William Guthrie there holding on to P2 ahead of Adam Delmont, and Delmont making it back-to-back podiums with a winning race 1 and a third place in this second race. He'll be smiling from ear to ear, knowing there's some huge points coming his way, as Dan Mould will be as well. And Lee Horn in the end taking what was another win in the prime class. That's 2 wins out of 2 so far in the class. Can he make it 3 out of 3 before the day is done? It's going to be a tough task, but he may be able to do it. And as all the drivers pile the way into the pit lane, well, meanwhile, look a little bit further back to Ian Wild, who gaining some places in this race, gaining 1 place on a P24 start. The CS Sim Racing Manny Motors driver there, just taking it place by place, gaining a couple of points for a P13 finish in the prime class. So he'll be pleased with that, and the team will be congratulating him. But a great race all round, ladies and gentlemen, and let's take you through those race results subject to Eddie Stewart's inquiries. I do believe there may be some. So after another 10 laps of racing in race 2 of season 4 of the NXTCC with round 8, sponsored by Higgins Automotive, we can see Dan Mould there taking the win by 4.1 seconds for SRL, head of Full Tilt V Motorsports William Guthrie at P2. Adam Delmont P3 there for Mark Sykes Designs, completing the overall podium, and then there being a further 3.5 seconds to Joseph Doble P4. Keep in mind the Doble Sim Racing driver started P11 and fighting his way through to 4th place. A great drive there for the number 11 car, ahead of Gavin Gardner P5 for NXTGEN Racing Pink. And then a further 2 attempts to Andrew Pipe P6 for the Sim Racing Collective, ahead of Lee Horn for Sam Case for NXTGEN, making it 2 prime wins out of 2 thus far today. And then at Mikey Doble for Doble Sim Racing, ahead of NXTGEN Racing Peaks, Jamie Dory. And then at 10th there, only a further 2 attempts behind Alex Meredith, runner-up in the prime class. And then Capital E-Motorsport driver, we pleased with his performance. There's no doubt about it, knowing that it's another podium trophy to add to his collection. Luciano Vidvoet finishing at best rest P11 there for Bram Esports, only 2 tenths clear of Ben Altria for Full Tilt V Motorsport, who completed your prime podium of Horn, Meredith and Altria. Then Kieran Sharp, Michael Lees and Paul Scott completed your top 15. Well, great battle between Michael Lees and Paul Scott, along with Nick Clemens and Isaac Doble right at the late stage of this race. And you see Clemens P16 ahead of Isaac Doble, with Matthew Sheraton at P18, and then at P19, P20 Mark Sykes and Matthew Addy. P21, Russell Fowler in a day that continues to be a difficult one, but he'll be looking forward to race number 3 and seeing what comes for the Performance Link Esports team. Alan McCain, P22 ahead of Ian Wild, and then Ian Manners, Jonathan Collins, James Vasascal and Mark Kent completing your finishers. All 27 starters made it to the end of the race, and all of them on the lead lap. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, it's not quite over yet. We've got one more race to come. And that'll be race number 3. That'll be coming up in approximately 11 to 12 minutes time. But just before we do cut away in preparation for that race, there is just a small question of the reverse grid draw. And well, without further ado, let's cut to the commentary booth. And good evening to you all. I hope you're all doing well so far and enjoying the race. And I definitely am here in the commentary booth, I can tell you that. And well, here's the Next Gen Racing Lottery Bowl. For the uninitiated, we have the numbers 6 through to 12 in the bowl on all different balls. And very shortly, what I'm going to do is close my eyes and conduct the lottery bowl draw. I'll take 2 numbers out and we'll add those numbers together, and those will determine our reverse grid position for today's final race. So without further ado, let's do the draw. And with the shuffle complete, we'll take the first ball out of the bowl, and that is going to be the number 10. The number 10 makes a reappearance. It is going to be quite a lengthy reverse grid, but what number will be added to it is now the question. We take a look. Another shuffle there for good luck, and we take the draw. And it is going to be the number 8. So in the end, it is going to be a top 18 reverse grid. And that will mean that Matthew Cheverton will be taking reverse grid pole for the final race of the day. Well, how about it, ladies and gentlemen? We are going to see, I do believe, what is a top 5 of Pro-Ams. And then it's going to be Pro-Am as a mixture for the next few rows. And, well, it's going to be a hard fight for all of our pros coming through from the back of that top 18. But could we see some magic happen in the final race of the day? Well, we'll have to wait and see. And we'll be back in approximately 10 minutes time for the build up to our final race. Don't go anywhere, you won't want to miss it. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back then for the build-up to our final race of the day. Race 3 of 3 in round 8 of Season 4 of the NXTGEN, brought to you on iRacing and sponsored by Higgins Automotive. And what a pair of races we have had so far. We have seen two different winners overall, with Adam Delmont taking the first win of the day, and then Dan Mould striking back to take the second win of the day. But meanwhile, in the Pram class, it has been Lee Horn who has taken both wins thus far, and really has been the man to beat. But as all drivers getting themselves set now for the final race at the Japanese circuit, which has proven a very difficult one to overtake at, but also one where you can go too wide for lap after lap and not find a way successfully on through. The question now will be that with the top 18 reverse grid, could we see a whole new pair of names in terms of the top of the standings, both overall in the prime class? Well, James Mazesgal makes his way up through turns 12 and 13. The Aztec Racing driver will know that it is his teammate Matthew Sheraton who has taken a reverse grid pole. And with the top 5 of Pro-Ams line up on the grid, as we'll see in the next 2 minutes, we could have an opportunity to see an all-new Pro-Am take their name into the history books and take an overall win. However, as Sheraton makes his way down the start-finish straight, we've also seen quite a bit of elbow-to-elbow racing. There's no doubt about it, and it's been great to see so many of you enjoying the racing in the respective chats, whether it be in the YouTube chat, who we do say hello to Alan Brown, who was enjoying seeing Dan Mould take the second race win of the day, and we also say hello there to, I do believe, John Meredith once again, who in the Facebook chat says, "Blimey Alex, what a lunge," in reference to Alex Meredith's attempted lunge for the lead of the race, not quite working out in the end, but also his lunge a little bit earlier to take P2, there's no doubt about that. And we see Handsome Stu there saying about some potential audio issues on the stream, but seems to have been resolved. And well, ladies and gentlemen, if any of you are experiencing any issues with the stream, or if you notice anything that's going wrong, don't be shy, feel free to speak up, because if it is something on our end, we'll do our best to fix it, there's no doubt about it. But a lot of you are cheering on there, Dan Mould taking the win. An average Sharpie asking in the YouTube chat where we could try and get back dead on the dot with regards to, we said we would return at 21 at 41 at BST and UTC +1, and we did exactly that. But we also say hello there to Paul O'Grady, who's been enjoying the music in the broadcast intermissions, and we do continue to try and mix up the music, and plenty will be used to come in future seasons of the NXTCC. But right now, all the drivers will be looking to drive it to the tune of doing well in the final race of the day. And with the track conditions starting to cool down as well, the temperature has dropped here at the circuit. Indeed, we can see briefly on the right hand side of the screen in terms of this final practice warm-up session. Now only 23 degrees centigrade track temperature, 21 degrees centigrade ambient temperature. It will mean that the Elantras now will start to come on a lot stronger over the entirety of the race, and tyre degradation will be less of a factor for them, and it could mean our Elantra drivers are given one big opportunity to get back in the hunt. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our drivers to make the way back into the pit lane before going onto the grid for race 3 of 3, and who will be our winners for the final time today in Japan? Let's find out. So as all of our drivers make their way onto the grid, this is how they'll line up for the final race of the day. It is reverse grid pole, and with it Prime pole for Matthew Sheraton for Aztec Racing, joined on the front row by Doble Sim Racing's Isaac Doble. On row number 2, it'll be Nick Clemens for iRacing Esports and Sam Case for the NXTGEN's Paul Scott, with row 3 being occupied by Michael Lees for Mark Sykes Designs, and then your leading pro driver of Kieran Sharp for the Sim Racing Collective. On row number 4, we have Ben Altrier for Full Tilt P Motorsport. Keep your eyes out for him, he's looking very fast today, ahead of Luciano Vidvoet for Bradman Esports. And then we have Alex Meredith for Kimi E Motorsport, and Jamie Dory for NXTGEN Racing Pink completing your top 10. On row number 6, it's Mikey Doble ahead of Lee Horn for Sam Case for the NXTGEN behind the Doble Sim Racing driver, with then on row number 7 going to the pair of Andrew Pike and Gavin Gardner. And then on row number 8, it's Joseph Doble and Adam Delmont, with William Guthrie and Dan Mould on row number 9. And your top 20 is completed by Mark Sykes and Matthew Addy. Russell Fowler starts P21 ahead of Alan McCain, with Ian Wood and Ian Mans on the 12th row. We're going to have to stop the walk through the grid there, ladies and gentlemen, because the field is set and it's time for the lights. There's 1 red light, 2 red lights, 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights. And it's lights out, away we go for the final race of the day here. Another 10 laps, and Matthew Sheraton gets a good start as he runs his way in towards turn number 1, as he makes his way into the braking zone here. All the drivers now battling the way on through, and it looks so Paul Scott under a bit of pressure from Elise and Sharp behind that may cause it to fall back, albeit there Nick Clippers goes a bit deep, and as they all make the way on through the opening 2 corners, cars off. That's Russell Fowler off into the gravel and the wall, and Russell Fowler's day goes from good to bad to disastrous in race number 3 very quickly indeed, as Kieran Sharp looks to try to hold ground the outside versus Michael Lees, but Lees there getting his elbows out, and he was saying in the build up to this final race that he's been getting his elbows out more and more, but he's the way everyone else has been getting their elbows out around him. Well, you love to hear it, and as they make the way down towards turn number 5, look there at what is, I do believe, Mikey Doble trying to find his way on around when it's Luciano Vidvoet and goes round the outside at turn number 5, really trying to put the pressure on, looking for a way in, and finds a way in here as he makes his way into P9 and onwards towards turn number 7 they go. But as they do, Alex Meredith ahead of Lee Horn, just behind Lee Horn looking up the inside of Meredith, and these two were very close together at the start of race number 2, but Meredith fell off towards the end. But now Horn making the pressure count early on as he gets ahead of Meredith, coming on through the S sequence and down towards turn number 9 they go. Meredith defends hard initially, but then leaves the door open, and Andrew Pike doesn't need 2 opportunities to try and look for a move here as the 2 Elantra drivers go side by side. A little bit of rub between the 2 of them, but Meredith holds the run into the inside of turn number 10 as they make their way to the braking zone. Meanwhile, Kieran Sharp defending versus Jamie Dory. In fact, going for the move there versus Dory. We should correct ourselves. And the Sim Racing collected 23 makes it count immediately as Meredith, meanwhile, still side by side with Pike on the exit of the turn 10 hairpin. These two absolutely inseparable. I think Meredith will get the better run, plus the toe as well of Lee Horn, and just sweeps it ahead before they make their way to the braking zone. But meanwhile, look at Garrett Gardner, looks to try and make it 3 wide, can't quite find it. It's going to be a run on the inside here for Andrew Pike, who goes 2 wide into the right-hander, but drops off the curb there, and the rear left of the car dropping onto the tarmac, and that loses him some speed. Gardner now to the inside of 12, and as they make their way through 12 and 13, cars around there, and that is Mikey Doble and Jamie Dory have both over to collected together as they made their way through the final 2 corners. It's a dramatic start to the race, and it's a dramatic end to lap number 1 as well, and Mikey Doble now has all the work to do once again, and which just has not been his day whatsoever. And as they make their way up into turn number 1 for the second time of asking, meanwhile Dan Mould taking a very gradual start to this race by comparison. Keep an eye, of course, he does have the maximum success balance in the car, so this is going to be a huge uphill slog for the car if he wants to try and take victory here, let alone if he wants to try and finish inside the top 10. And as he comes down to the braking zone here, he's up in the P17 already behind Alan McCain and Ian Manners fighting for P18. That's P10 in Pro-Am. With what is that, a bit of a mistake from Ian Manners in that battle. And now Matthew Addy goes up the inside of 1. Can he go around the outside of number 2 here as they come down towards turn number 5? It's going to be Addy on the right of your picture, McCain on the left of your picture. And as they make their way to the braking zone, meanwhile Manners battling with Kent. Kent looks around the outside, can't seem to quite find it as we ride on board here with the full tilt wing motorsport driver in the A7. There's contact there between Kent and Manners, and I think Kent in the end had nowhere else to go, and I think what's happened is Manners has just come across, given the fact the way they've come off the corner, and Kent, well, he's going to carry on here. I think he's right to do so, given the fact I think you could argue where else could he put the car, but again, we've only seen one camera angle and a very limited one at that, and that's why we have the stewards after the races today to take a look at any incidents that are reported. But Mark Kent definitely finds himself right in the front of the battling as he makes his way into P21 at P13 Pro-Am, with Eric Sparrow and Mikey Doble just behind. But as they make their way up into turn at number 10 here, already at the apex is Adam Delwood, and right now Joseph and William Guthrie right behind it. Guthrie trying to make more progress, albeit with the second place success balance to that car. That's going to feel like a lot of work, given the 48.5 kilograms of success balance will keep that car down the straight. And as they make their way in towards turn number 11, right now Guthrie having to sit behind this Joseph Doble on the offensive here, making some early ground, but 9, there's still plenty more to be made as Adam Delwood's gave 3 place at the start of this race as they go on towards lap number 3 very shortly. But looking at your leaders here, well, this is Matthew Cheverton. Oh my good lord, that's Paul Scott into the wall on the exit of turn 14. What on earth has triggered that off? We've got quite a few incidents to dissect here, ladies and gentlemen, but Paul Scott's car in tatters, and I think that might be his race well and truly in what is amends and over today. Russell Fowler's had to come into the pit lane due to damage picked up, and we can confirm that Paul Scott has had to be towed to the pit, albeit no safety cars being called here, given the fact we're having minor incidents at most in terms of the number of cars collected and the damage on circuit, but a major incident there for Paul Scott, and that has cost him very dear in what was looking to be a great way to end the day. But meanwhile, looking back to leaders here, well, this is Cheverton versus Isaac Doble, both drivers looking for some major points, and Isaac Doble looking around the outside here, looking to try and revive his championship campaign. It's too late in the day to do so. Tries to cut back off a 5, can't quite find it. Sheraton keeps it there as they ride their way in towards turn number 6 now. We look back from the rear of your race leader, the 390 car. And meanwhile, the Doble Sim Racing Veloster looking strong, flashing its lights there, trying to get to the head of his rival. There's a bit of contact to the rear of Sheraton's car as they make their way in towards turn number 8. And as they cover through the right and into the left, we say hello there to Sailboat _17. It's enjoying the race of the commentary. We're gliding at Sailboat. And as they cover in to the left hand at a turn number 9 right now. Well, the front eyes at Doble's the he needs to get this move done quickly because Nick Clemens is closing and Michael Lease is there. But then you have your big hitters in the pro class of what is Kieran Sharp and Luciano with Void who are coming up as well. But you can see them there all in the camera shot for a brief moment. And those pros need to win this race. They need the points. Remember, the pros do not score points based on class position. They only compete in the overall championship. It's the Pro-Ams who compete in their own independent championship as well. And as Sheraton defends it coming down into a level, he pins himself very tight to the inside. He returns to open up the corner there, more towards the outside, albeit still offline. But that's going to cost him quite a bit of speed here. All calls Doble Clemens to Constantina together with Lease also there. But as they make the way towards lap number 4, right now it does look as though this top 4 all closed up very rapidly indeed. Only a second between all of them. And can Sheraton force them all to fight one another, or will he be forced into fighting all of them as he makes his way onto the next lap? Well, as he does so, we take a look back at what happened on the open lap. Firstly, between what was Russell Fowler and company as they made their way through this corner. Addy getting it wrong at the corner. Fowler comes on through, and as they do, well, Fowler there, I think feeling as though he was clear of Addy, but in the end collected with Addy's front bumper and Fowler to the wall. A very unfortunate instant for the pair of them. And then towards the end of the open lap with the instant for Mikey Doble and Jamie Dory, and this was side by side between the pair. Dory being tapped there by Doble through 12 it looked like, and then trying to get the car back together and making further contact with Doble in return, and with both drivers' races ending up in what was a difficult moment there. And then we had the instant for Paul Scott on the end of lap number 2, and what on earth happened here to Paul Scott's the big question. It was a huge shunt to the wall. Well, it was going through the final corner, gets the power down, and in contact there with what was the latency-stricken car, Michael Lease, and Paul Scott having no way to deal with that and into the wall, so he'll be absolutely fuming at that as that was out of his control. And well, as we return to your live pictures now, ladies and gentlemen, those are the 3 major incidents of the opening 2 laps. There were others as well, but we don't have time to cover them all given the battles that are still ongoing. And we look back to your leaders here, but there's no change between them. Kieran Sharp P5 still closing the distance to the 23. Meanwhile, further back, we can see that Joseph Doble behind Adam Delman. Dan Mould also now starting to come stronger. It's going to be the battle of Doble versus Mould as they make their way in towards turn number 11. Mould on the outside there, and while Guthrie looking for the move in return. But remember, a compromised inside line, less speed he can pick up off of the corner apex. He can't run the car out, and therefore Mould right now can just stay in the toe of Joseph Doble, who is going to return. Look for the move on the inside of Delman. Guthrie thinks about it as well. Not close enough in return, so it's going to be Doble who goes in for the move, but then we can simply hold the high and wide line as they make their way in towards turn 12. That will give them the inside run, and as they go at double left into right here, we had an instant for Nick Clemens on the start finish straight coming out the corner. That's a lot of smoke going up. Where exactly is Clemens' car? Well, I think it has turned around. In fact, it is P11 now, but Nick Clemens has had a major incident that's dropped it outside the top 10. Joseph Doble here following Adam Delman. Delman goes to the wall in order to defend, so Delman right now absolutely entrenched himself. Joseph Doble throwing everything at this, and Delman says, no, you're not going to pass. And well, with this right now, all of these guys are being held back by what is Adam Delman. You can understand why Delman wants to take the minimum points here and try and take some further positions off the cars in front. But remember, the more they fight like this, the more the top 10 is just going to walk off into the distance as Joseph Doble tries to cut it back, hits the rear bumper and Delman. They all make the way through Eternal Void. It's getting very scrappy now, and the elbows are definitely coming out between these guys. Further contact between Delman and Doble as they make their way up towards turn number 5. Delman's going to cover off the inside there. Mould also tries to sweep in, looking up the inside. Meanwhile, behind, that's going to be Alan McCain on the inside of Guthrie. Elbows out between them. McCain lunges in, gets the place of a Guthrie for now, and I think McCain's had enough of waiting, and so has Mark Sykes as they make their way side by side for turn 6 out towards 7. And Sykes going to look around the outside here, under braking for Mark Sykes. Designs, but there's contact there with Guthrie. It puts him to the grass, but he catches the car just in time. Mikey Doble recovers on through as well, but Mark Sykes does get the car back on tarmac, but he loses the place. And as they make the way in towards turn number 9, meanwhile, look at McCain. He goes to lunge again. He tries to send it, but Joseph, Doble and Mould too far ahead. But meanwhile, Doble and Mould side by side. Mould trying to make the move around the outside versus the younger member of the Doble family in this pack. And as they head in towards the braking zone, well, Mould's going to be on the inside there. Now, how will Joseph Doble counter-attack? He puts two balls onto the grass, given the space to race. Albeit you can see that Doble trying to give the total to Mould in order to get Mould to fight, given the fact that Mould has more success bars than anybody else in his car. Therefore, I think Delman is quite confident that he can keep Mould at bay, albeit Mould has shown absolutely phenomenal pace with the weight in the car. Mikey Doble at the inside of Guthrie there in towards turn number 11, and as they make their way through, Mark Sykes has got a bit wide. He has rejoined, but this battle right now for what's P12 through to P18, absolutely out of crescendo right now. It's erupted onto your screens, ladies and gentlemen, as they make the way through. We look back to your leaders here of Sheraton versus Isaac Doble. Sheraton goes a bit deep into one, and I think Isaac Doble's going to look for the move here as they make the way out. We ride on board with the second place Doble Sim Racing driver, second place overall and in the private class, but keep in mind they now have the pro of Kieran Sharp behind. Sheraton defends there as he now moves back onto the racing line into turn number 3. And well, the problem here for Isaac Doble is the fact that whilst I think he can get the move done, I think he's got the confidence to do it, albeit Sheraton proving to be very prudent in the defence. With Sharp only 4 tenths down, he's going to be now having to look more on his rear view moves. Is Doble about the defence from the pro behind, just about to get on the offensive, and it really does mean now his best offense, his best defense is a good offense, and what rings true here, he's got to try and get the move done soon, as otherwise I think he's going to lose that opportunity to fight for the win, and instead have to let Sharp come on through if he feels like it, or he's going to have to go fully defensive and fight for P2 and let Sheraton run off to take the win. And with it what be an overall win for a prime driver, we've only seen 4 of those in the history of the NXTGEN, and as they make the way out to turn number 8 in towards 9. Kieran Sharp only 2 tenths back now, and here we ride on board the rear of Doble's car to give you that perspective, what's in front and then what's behind, as they make the way up towards turn number 10. Well, right now Isaac Doble again trying to put those small dummies in, going into the corner versus Sheraton. That's why the car's shaking around as much as it is, as they make the way out of turn number 10. Down the back straight they go. They're into the halfway point of this race now, and as they make the way down, one driver who is gaining places, albeit not getting too much attention for it, is Garen Gardner. He's now moved up to P8, it should be pointed out. So Garen Gardner, in fact, having quite a strong performance in this third race of the day. But as they make the way down, meanwhile, Andrew Pike up the inside there of Luciano Woodvine as they make the way on through the right into left of 11 into 12. And it's another place game for Pike. Keep low that is missing his front bumper. I think the aero drag of that car now is going to be costing it about 3 to 4 miles an hour at the top end of the longest straight. And therefore, I wouldn't be surprised if the number 60 driver here is focusing more and more on just trying to consolidate the place he can. But meanwhile, Isaac Doble now having to succumb to the pressure of Kieran Sharp, but Sharp right now not able to find a way on through as they come through turns 1 and 2. Lease is right there, ready to pounce versus the Honda driver, but the Sim Racing Collective driver here knowing it's a golden opportunity to take it over a win. I don't think we've seen a win from Kieran Sharp all season as they make their way down into the break-ins over turn number 3, but the 23 driver here doing everything in his power to look for a way on through as they wind the way off the apex and up towards turn number 15. Now heading down towards the braking zone here for turn number 5. What's going to be the plan here for Kieran Sharp? Well, I think he's just simply got to try and find a way to get under the skin of Isaac Doble and get him to make a mistake. But to be fair, despite his relatively young age, and also on top of that, his youthful experience compared to some of the rivals on this grid who've been racing since season 1 of the series, I'll tell you one thing, Isaac Doble showed phenomenal maturity and command of his machine as they make the way through turns 7 and 8, and that's why he is being tipped to be a future Prime champion, not this season, then definitely in coming seasons. They make the way in towards turn number 9 as they come through the left hand. Meanwhile, a bit further back, Garen Gardner now looking for the move on mid-wide, but as we can see there, Lee Horn also keeping Gardner honest, and Horn's got the pressure, Biddle Tree behind. Keep line, they're battling for P5 Pro-Am just as much as they're battling for P9 overall, but as they come in towards turn number 11. Looking around the outside here, Gardner can't quite find it, but meanwhile, Kieran Sharp has found a way up the inside of Isaac Doble into turn number 10. It's a drag race between the Honda and the Veloster. Honda on your left, Veloster on your right. Isaac Doble's got his nose back ahead, but Sharp here is going to have to really push the pressure on the brakes if he wants to get this move all done under lock and key. Doble carries the momentum around the outside. This is giving Sheraton the space to break away. Doble's on the inside into 12. Sharp forcing the outside into what is turn number 13 to 14. little bit of a wobble there on the brake, and I think a rub between the two cars, plus also some oversteer on the braking. But then Kieran Sharp does just about get it done, and now Isaac Doble and Michael Lees are battling as they make their way down the start finish straight in towards turn number 1. Once they come into the braking zone, here it's Lees on the inside, through the right they go. Isaac Doble then being mates down the outside, elbows out from Michael Lees, forces his way on through to a degree, albeit we see plenty of elbows out racing here, so it's not as though he's by isolation, and he gets the move done there into P3 overall, P2 in the prime class, as they make the way down into turn number 3, but through the left and in to the next left they go, and as they do, Isaac Doble now will have Alex Meredith nipping on his heels. And the problem is, once you lose one place, you start to lose a lot of momentum, and with it you can lose further places. Andrew Pike behind them, and well, now the Pro Drive looking for the move on Meredith. It's the battle of the two Elandras, and Andrew Pike says, I'm going to take this one, thank you very much, and moves up the inside into P5 in a very short but succinct move. And as they make the way through turn number 6, will Meredith will be watching on here and hoping that Pike can do the same to Isaac Doble and bring the fellow Pro Drive back into the fight. But Meredith's going to look for the move and return it to turn number 7. Can't quite find it too far back to potentially go for the return lunge as they wind their way through the S sequence. But from them, we look back to Horn versus Ultria. This is the battle for P5 Pro-Am, and what is P9 overall still battling away as Ultria goes all in on the brakes. There comes a very far back, and in the end, as they make their way to the apex, Horn has to turn in at some point. Clear contact with Ultria, who's turned onto the grass. Clemens is now going to look up the inside in return to Ultria, and making that lunge has lost the place in return. And as they come through turn number 10, it's going to be Clemens who gains the place now, but Ultria will be right there with him as they make their way down the back straight. 2 more laps to go after this one. Your race leader at the end of the run down towards turn number 11 already, and Horn still looking for more progress here, thinking about trying to make the move on Lidvoed with the damaged car. Can't quite find it. Ultria in return can't find his way past fellow Elantra driver of Clemens, and now they make the way towards the penultimate lap. As meanwhile we look to your race leader here, Matthew Sheraton, and as he comes out of turn number 14, goes on to lap number 9, Kieran Sharp in tow, and that gap is coming down. Sharp is the faster driver of the two of them. They make the way on to 9 of 10, but as they charge their way into the braking zone. Well, to put this in perspective, on that previous lap, Sharp took 7 attempts out of Sheraton, so we are expecting that Sharp will be on the offense by the end of this lap, going on to the final lap. But can Sheraton hold on? He's proven that he can make his car incredibly wide, but the one thing we do know is that when the Sim Racing Collective have got the bit between their team, they do not give in. And right now, as they come through turns 3 and 4, it could be the argument of the unstoppable force meets the immovable object, but who is going to come out on top of the pair of them? Will it be Sheraton who holds on to make himself the 5th Pro-Am winner overall, or will we see Kieran Sharp take the win overall here today in this first overall win of the season? Well, as they come through turn at number 5, meanwhile looking further back, Adam Dell battling side by side here with Joseph Doble, and well, Dan Mould has found his way ahead of the pair, but right now making very little progress beyond that. This is a battle for P12 overall, so they're all due to pick up a very minuscule number of points compared to what they've been fighting for earlier on in the races today. I don't think Mould will mind it too much, given the fact he's taken what is a win plus also a second place, and Delton the same will win and whatnot. But meanwhile, suspend that fall as it is Mould who's turned sideways there in contact with Joseph Doble. The gloves are definitely off between the drivers, and Mould drops down to P15, the last of the points paying positions overall, and the SRL driver there will not be too pleased with how that plays out, and Delton's crept his way on through as well. But as they make their way up towards turn at number 10, we take a look back at how exactly that happened, and here is the replay. As they made the way through the corners there, it was the run to the apex, and well, Doble I think would argue that Mould squeezed him. Mould would argue had the right to the line, but there was overlap between the two of them, and well, I think they're both of them giving each other as good as they were giving one another. And we return to your live pictures, ladies and gentlemen, and as we do, that is going to be Lee Horn around the outside of Luciano Vidvode, but he's made to go a little bit wide, can't find his way on through. But from them, here is your race leader as he makes his way on to the final lap, going on to lap number 10 of 10 in our final race here today at the Twin Ring Motegi circuit. And as they make their way out towards turn 1, it's Sheraton versus Sharp with Lees in tow as they head into the braking zone for turn 1, and Sheraton now having to simply defend every corner with this wind absolutely depending on it. There's no doubt about it, and Sharp's got to play his cards right. He's got to look for that one opportunity. He's got to get Sheraton to overdo it as they make the way Down towards turn 3, Sheraton comes across. Sharp on the outside still, into the braking zone they go. Getting very close here as they reel off the turn 3 apex through 4. It's the battle of the Hondas with the Velocitas behind. And as they make the way in towards turn number 5, will Sheraton again pinning himself to that inside, making it very clear every time they get onto a long straight to Sharp, which is, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it the long way. But meanwhile, trying to do it the short way is Andrew Pike up the inside of Isaac Doble. Goes for the sends there, gets it stopped just in time. Side by side they go through turn number 6, but Pike's not going to have the run through the corner, and that is going to put him behind here in the battle for P4 as they come in to the S-bend. But as they do, coming up through left into right. Meanwhile, we look back here to William Guthrie versus Adam Delmont. In fact, I think Guthrie's had an off track since we last took a look. In the fact, he's dropped quite a way down the order for Full Tilt V Motorsport, with Lee Horn finding his way through. Same for Ben Aldria, so I'm not quite sure what's happened there. But as they make the way into turn number 9, Guthrie's going to try and force the move. He sends both drivers off the road and will clip his up onto free wheels for a brief moment. And I don't think he'll be too pleased about that. But meanwhile, here we've got Michael Lees looking up the inside of Kieran Sharp and goes to the send into turn number 11. And Sheraton here could be given the opportunity to run away. Now, will Lees look for the move into turn number 11? That's the question, as Kieran Sharp has been pushed back into a battle here with Isaac Doble. Down to the braking zone they go. Lees looks for it. He's too far back to go for the send. Under braking they go. It's going to be Sharp looking around the outside of Isaac Doble, and it's going to be Isaac Doble holds on, but Sheraton only 3 corners away from achieving infamy as he makes his way through the double left-hander into the right. And as they come to the timeline, Sheraton literally being hounded to the line, but the checker flag gets ready to wave, and he's done it, ladies and gentlemen. Matthew Sheraton is going to take the win overall and in the Prime class, to add his name to the history books of Aztec Racing ahead of Michael Lees P2, Isaac Doble P3, Kieran Sharp P4 in an all-Prime overall podium. The first time that has ever happened in NXTCC history, I do believe. In fact, it's the second time somebody's told me in my ear, because it happened at Motorsport Arena Oschersleben when we first saw our first Prime winner of Reese Swat. And then behind Kieran Sharp, Andrew Pike P5, Alex Meredith P6, Cameron Garnett, Luciano Voed, Lee Horn and Ben Aldria completing your top 10. Joseph Doble P11 ahead of Adam Delmont, then William Guthrie P13, Nick Clemens P14, Mark Sykes and Matthew Addy P15, P16, Mark Kemp P17 ahead of Jamie Dorey, with Alan McCain and Jonathan Collins completing your top 20. Dan Mould P21, a difficult end to his day today, a frustrating at race number 3, but still some major points gained. James Pascal P22 ahead of Ian Wild, and then it will be very shortly Ian Manners who makes his way to the line in what has been a difficult end to his day, and indeed a difficult day today at the Japanese circuit. It just has not favoured him after race number 1, but the JW Motorsport driver will still take the checkered flag for his race. That'll be a P15 in the Prime class and still some points to his name. Indeed, some scraps, but still some welcome scraps. Every point is invaluable. And then our last finisher on the lead lap, ladies and gentlemen, P25 out of 27 starters, will be Paul Scott for Sam Cases with NXTGEN, with Russell Fallerfish in a lap down and Mikey Doble unfortunately retiring from this race due to damage picked up. But what a race from start to finish, and well, Aztec Racing will be absolutely pleased to see Matthew Sheraton, their 390 driver, taking the overall win, and he adds his name to the likes of Matthew Addy and also Lee Horn as being our 5th, I do believe, Pro-Am driver to take an overall win as he makes one around. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it normally happens in race number 3 with an extended reverse grid, and Matthew Sheraton definitely right now delivering in what was a hard-fought battle with Kieran Sharp, and also, to be fair, Michael Lees and Isaac Doble, but credit where it's due. And for Kieran Sharp, not quite able in the end to take on the overall podium. I think the move from Michael Lees towards the end may have upset him somewhat in terms of the rhythm into the last couple of corners, but we take a look back at how exactly that move was made right at the end of the race, and here is the replay. Moves in the run down towards turn at number 10. And you can see Kieran Sharp looked to move around the outside of Sheraton. So in fact, it wasn't a lunge that Lees did just simply to try and make the move happen. He saw the door was open and that Sharp had picked the wrong side of Sheraton at turn number 10. So a really good opportunistic work there from Lees. Lee Britton find a way at the inside, and then Isaac Doble was saying, well, given the fact that Sharp's out of order at this point in terms of the speed he's able to carry, Doble just able to carry the speed into turn number 10 and turn number 11. A great move there for Isaac Doble as well. So Kieran Sharp just picking the wrong place at the wrong time to make the move. But as we now return to your live pictures, well, everybody's in the pit lane, ladies and gentlemen, and let's take you through those race results subject to any stewards' inquiries, and here they are. And as we can see in our third and final race of the day at the Twin Ring Motegi circuit in Japan for round 8 of season 4 of the NXTGEN, sponsored by Higgins Automotive, Matthew Sheraton taking the overall win and prime win for Aztec Racing by 3.5 tenths over Michael Lees for Mark Sykes Designs, and then Isaac Doble completing your overall and prime podium. Doble Sim Racing there, and with it, history being remade today, with that being our second ever overall podium fully occupied by prime drivers. Kieran Sharp P4 for the Sim Racing Collective ahead of teammate Andrew Pye. The team there gained some major points in the final race of the day, and that will keep their aspirations to win the team's championship well and truly alive, with Alex Meredith P6 for Chemical E Motorsport ahead of Gavin Gardner, and then Luciano Whitvoid P8 for Bramman Esports, despite missing a front bumper in the end, bringing the car home P8 ahead of Lee Horn and Ben Altria, who completed your top 10. Sam Case for NXTGEN ahead of Full Tilt B Motorsport. And then P11 Best Rest Doble Sim Race's Joseph Doble ending P11 and with some more points to his name, but not quite the day he was looking for today. And I suspect that championship lead may be going the way of Dan Mould into our penultimate round. Adam Delman P12 ahead of William Guthrie, and then Nick Clemens and Mark Sykes completing your top 15. Behind the Mark Sykes Design stripe, Matthew Addy P16 for Sam Case with NXTGEN, head of Mark Kent P17 for Full Tilt B Motorsport, and then as we can see completing your top 20, Jamie Dory, Alan McCain and Jonathan Collins. Dan Mould P21, the SRL driver, not quite able to make it 3 podiums in a row, alternatively 3 top 10s in a row, but still knowing that he picked up 2 podiums, including a win in race number 2. Huge points for number 80 driver, ahead of James Spencer-Scout, Ian Wild, Ian Manners, Paul Scott, Russell Fowler, who finished a lap down the end, and Mikey Doble, who retired 4 laps from the end due to a technical issue with the car, but will be classified as he did complete over half the race distance. So 27 starters, 26 finishers, 25 of them on the lead lap, ladies and gentlemen, but all classified as race finishers. And with that, that finishes our racing here today in Japan. But what a trio of races, it must be said. Whether it was the relatively calm start of race number 1 that built up to a brilliant battle between Dan Mould and Adam Delman for the win, or race number 2, where it seemed as though all the drivers that took the gloves off had decided to get their elbows out, or race number 3, where as always the reverse grid always leads to a degree of pandemonium, albeit fair, but frivolous pandemonium must be said, out of the circuit. We've had 3 fantastic races, and well, don't go anywhere, because we still got coming up our announcement of the Higgins Automotive Driver of the Day. We're in the prime class. And with John Higgins Sr. not currently available, it shall be myself doing the Driver of the Day announcement today, and that will be coming up soon. And after that, we'll then be bringing you the post-round interviews with our volunteer drivers. We always try to have 3 of our drivers for interview, and we'll be back for those in approximately 12 to 13 minutes time. So plenty more to come, ladies and gentlemen, but we will see you very shortly. But until then, do let us know in your respective chat what has been your favourite moment or moments of today's racing. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll see you very shortly. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is time for us to initially announce our driver of the day, as sponsored and brought to you by Higgins Automotive. Now, unfortunately, John couldn't be here tonight, i.e. John Higgins Sr., the man who is behind the mission at Higgins Automotive, and we'll tell you a little bit more about them at the end of today's broadcast. But just to fill you in on John, he's all okay, nothing's wrong with him. In fact, he's in a very good mood at the moment. He just couldn't be here today, given the fact that he's currently on his way back from Silverstone Grand Prix circuit in the United Kingdom, where over the course of this weekend just gone, he was there supporting the team Hills Motorsport, who sealed a first and second place finish in the UK Mazda MX-5 Super Cup Championship for 2023. A great day for Higgins, well, not just for Higgins, but also for was Hills Motorsport as a whole, and the Higgins family, who are very closely tied with the Hills Motorsport team, and therefore we wish them and the team all the best as they go upwards and onwards into their future endeavours. And I do believe we will have John Higgins Sr. back with us next week to announce the Higgins Automotive Driver of the Day for Willow Springs Raceway in the US of A. But now we come on to our selection. It'll be myself announcing the driver of the day today. And it has been quite tough today in the fact quite a few of our pro drivers have really had a difficult day of racing. And well, perhaps some of the best examples would include the likes of Russell Fowler, who qualified very well but fell very foul over the course of the first two races and could never quite get into first gear after that. We also have what happened with regards to, say, the likes of Matthew Addy, who just could not find a way to break them through into the top 5 of the Prime class at any point. But spinning things around, there were a few drivers they also shone very high. And well, special mentions do include, firstly, Matthew Sheraton for adding his name to that list of Primes, taking an overall win in our third race of the day. Also, perhaps the biggest shout out would go to Full Tilt v Motorsports Ben Altria, who really had his strongest performance of the season with a top 10 in qualifying overall, then being followed up by a great set of performances across all three races within the class and really mixing things up for the podium places as well as the top 5 and the brilliant battle of Lee Hornet in the final race of today. However, he hasn't quite picked up the award. There has been one driver who has gone one step further today, and some of you may already be able to guess who it is. And indeed, it brings me great pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to announce that this is the driver who picks up the award today for picking up 2 wins in the Prime class back-to-back in races 1 and 2, and also a 5th place in class and a P9 overall in race number 3. And when you factor in the success ballast he carried from his overall top 10 finishes in races 1 and 2 into his performances in races 2 and 3, it really shows how far he continues to come as he makes his way into the closing stages of this championship season. Your Higgins Automotive Driver of the Day for Twin Ring Motegi in Japan will be none other than Lee Horn. Congratulations to Lee Horn on picking up the award. I believe it's his second time this season he has picked up the award. A performance that was well earned, and well, with 2 more rounds to go, who will be our Higgins Automotive Driver of the Day in the American round next week, and of course what will be our season finale at Mount Panorama. We'll have to wait and see. Lee will be gunning for it all the way, of course, but still plenty of drivers out there to try and pick up the award. But congratulations to him, and well, we won't be able to hear from him today as we do get ready to hear from our interviewees, but we will be hearing from some of our other drivers in the Prime class, and we'll hear our interviewees, ladies and gentlemen. And we start off with none other than Michael Lees from Mark Sykes Designs, as the Prime driver does join me in the interview room now, and we say welcome to Michael. And Michael, what a challenging day for yourself today. It looked as though at first it wasn't quite going to plan in race 1, but come races 2 and 3 you bounced back to what were 2 top 5 finishes in the Prime class, and all the way through it looked as though you were enjoying it, getting your elbows out in Japan.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say congrats to Lee for getting driver of the day, and I think I speak for everybody who races in NXTGEN when I say Lee for pro.
Oh, goodness me. I can see quite a few, albeit ladies and gentlemen at home can't quite see this, but on the NXTGEN Racing Discord, there are a few banterous accusations with regards to it's rigged, alternatively, Lee for pro, like Michael says now. But it's a great family community, I can assure you. But Michael, coming back to yourself, of course, in some respects today, having to really do things the hard way, but qualifying looked quite positive. A P16 overall on the grid, perhaps not great, but a P18 class, and knowing you were only 10ths off of potentially being in the top 10.
Yeah, well, I got stuck behind Well, actually, I had somebody right behind me all through qualifying, like just inches off my bumper. So, like, I ended up spending a bit more of my consciousness looking behind me, essentially, in qualifying, which you shouldn't really be doing, and not really understanding why that person was just being so close to me. It didn't make a lot of sense. And in the end, I don't know, I just couldn't put a decent lap in. Not where I wanted to be anyway. So yeah, P16 wasn't the best. I was hoping to be. I definitely had the pace to be a lot further up, but I just couldn't put it together in that one. Unfortunately, I did let them past. Eventually, just pulled right over, like, go get out of it. I'll drive around a bit, thanks. But I didn't leave myself with enough time to build the speed back up. So is what it is. And it didn't really matter in the end anyway, as you'll find out when we talk about race one.
Oh, indeed. And coming on to race number one, it was a race that very quickly turned to tears before the first couple laps were complete. And in the end, saw you finish a lap down in P26, but still got the car to the end. I think it was more of a preparation for race number two. What exactly happened?
Well, iRacing crashed. I was fighting with somebody. I think I was fighting with Matt Addy and some other people, and yeah, it was just going into the sort of the chicane in the middle of the lap, and it just crashed. And I didn't know, I couldn't do anything. My wheel just started spinning, and yeah, the iRacing shut down, but my PC was still on, so I couldn't really figure it out. So I thought I'd come back in and just test that everything was, working and it wasn't going to crash again. So that's why I carried on and did the rest of the race a lap down. But yeah, luckily it seemed that it did hold out for all the rest of it. So then I could actually get going after the first race.
Oh, indeed, and very unfortunate with regards to the iRacing crash and having to get everything reset, but still back on track come at race number two, and despite starting all the way down in P26, gradually picking your way through to a P14 finish, which was worth P4 in the class. Hard fought in race two.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed race two to a degree. I did get stuck behind. I can't remember his name. There's the new guy in the Velociter. He's got an Italian sounding name. Maybe you can fill me in, Paul.
Oh, that
But
would be Vidvoed, Luciano Vidvoed.
that guy, yeah. So basically, very staunch defence from him, and it was just a roadblock for me. I could not get past him. I ended up actually losing a couple more spots from trying to overtake him and putting myself offline, and other people taking advantage of that. So, yeah, I enjoyed getting up to that point, and I know I could have carried on going further. But it is what it is, and I enjoyed it enough, and it did put me in a pretty good place for the reverse grid, luckily.
Oh, indeed. And just before we come on to that, of course, the racing today, very tricky to overtake at this Japanese circuit of Twin Ring Motegi, and quite a few drivers, yourself including, in having to get the elbows out. I have to ask, how do you gauge when's the right time to, say, lunge into a corner versus, okay, you're too far back, or you know what, that's just not going to work out and might be looked upon quite badly by the stewards?
So I genuinely do try to not make lunges and force people off the circuit, but it seemed that on this circuit, if you didn't race really aggressively, then everybody else just did, and you just started sailing backwards down the order. So, yeah, the margins were a lot finer here today when it comes to deciding when to make the pass or not, and it majoritively probably is going to end up with you banging doors or rubbing bumpers, because that's just the nature of the circuit, like you say. It's almost a one-line track. So I don't think I ran anybody off. I think I gave as much room as I possibly could, and I tried to be sort of fair, but I'm sure I'll have annoyed some people on my way through. But it is what it is.
Oh, indeed, and well, I'm sure if anybody is unhappy, it could all be settled after the racing today, but still staying with the positives and coming on to race number three. Was a top 18 reverse grid in the end, which would saw you place yourself at P5 on the grid going into the race. A top 5 of Pro-Ams, but still having to fight your way through past some Pro-Ams who were very eager to hold on to their positions. None more of those perhaps than Isaac Doble and Matthew Cheverton.
Yeah, so obviously Matthew, congrats to him for the win. He put up a really solid defence, but he was sort of backing everyone up towards us, which was good for me. It kept me in it, and yeah, Isaac unfortunately, I don't think he had the best run of it. I'm not sure if I had anything to do with that. I can't really remember. I hope not, but if I did, sorry, I guess. I don't think I did though. But yeah, I was waiting. I got into third place, and there was Kieran Sharp in front of me and Matt Sheverton in front of me, and I had the pace to go earlier than I did. But I thought, I'll wait behind Kieran because Kieran's a pro, and hopefully he'll make a move on Matt, and I can follow him through like I did with Isaac. But he never made that move until the very last lap. So when he made that move into the hairpin, I just thought, okay, Matt's pushing him wide. I'm not going to get both, but I could probably get second here, so I just stuck my car in and went past. I did have some contact with Nick as well earlier, which again, if that was my fault, I want to apologise for that. But I don't. My spotter said that we were still side by side when we went into that final chicane, and from my eyes, it looked like he turned across in front of me. But I mean, we'll have to see what happened because I've not watched the replay back. But yeah, if that was me, I'm sorry, Nick. But yeah, the spotter didn't say it was clear. But like I say, through that hairpin, I saw him pushing wide, and I saw the gap, and I just went for it. And I was hoping I could get Matt down into the sharp right-hander at the bottom of the hill, but he kept his line well, and there was no passing him before the end, unfortunately. But I'll take a P2. It's much better than a crash.
Oh, 100%. And just to comment on that battle between yourself and Kieran Sharp right at the end, of course, Kieran at the time going into what was the final major hairpin was ahead, but you managed to find a way to get right up the inside in perhaps what was one of your best moves of the season.
I thought it was pretty good. I don't know if Kieran liked it, but yeah, I enjoyed it, and I thought it was nice and clean, and yeah, it's a little bit opportunistic for sure, but yeah, I was happy with that move, definitely.
Oh, indeed, and we absolutely loved to see it from the commentary booth here. But with the results today, Michael, it's been a solid second half of the races, and we've still got 2 rounds to go. Championship right now, of course, winding on down little by little, and with those rounds running out, how are you feeling for the visit to the United States next week?
Where are we? Willow Springs, aren't we? Yeah, that's a new track. I've not touched it, so I shall have to get that downloaded and maybe run a couple of laps. But yeah, I'm sure it'll be fun. It's a fast track from what I understand, so possibly a similar feel to Mosport, I'm not sure, which I really enjoy that track. So yeah, I don't really know what to expect, but yeah, looking forward to it. I like the new tracks because it puts us all on an even playing field, because some of these guys have been on this sim for years and years and years, and I've only had it since November 2021, so like 2 years nearly. So yeah, it puts us even. So I stand a good chance, as good a chance as anybody. And I think, like, if you just look at Zandvoort, I think that's a new scan and a new layout, and nobody had been on that, and I went really well there. So hopefully it'll be similar. Yeah, but we'll see what happens. I mean, for me, I know I'm not in the championship because of my terrible car choices and no speed in those. But for me, this is basically a test. The whole thing is just test for next season, and I'm just trying to, I'm tweaking things all the time. Like, I'm playing with my hardware. Like, I've just ordered some like mods for my brake pedal to make it feel a bit better, and hopefully that'll give me some speed and not take it away. Because braking's huge on this. Yeah, we'll just see what happens, and hopefully I'll get faster and faster, and then next season I can have a proper bash at it again.
We definitely would love to see that, but at the same time, with these last couple of rounds being preparation for Season 5, we look forward to seeing you giving your all in the last 2 remaining rounds, starting with Willow Springs in a week's time. Just before we let you go, however, is anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast tonight?
Yourself, Paul, because you always put on a fantastic broadcast. It is always awesome to watch you back. Jamie and all the guys that put on this, all the next gen stuff. It's a great league. You know, it's my favourite one. So yeah, keep going, and I'll keep racing it as long as you'll have me. Yeah, and just everybody who races and turns up every Tuesday to make it what it is, you know, because it's without the drivers, it's nothing. So you know, each and every single person, just want to thank them, and hopefully we can keep the respect and keep the close racing and keep it clean, and you know, keep moving forwards because it's a great championship.
100% with you on that, Michael. It's the drivers at the end who make all the racing come to life, and you were right at the core of a lot of the major battles today. Great driving from yourself, and well done on the double top 5 in the prime class with races 2 and 3. We look forward to plenty more from yourself over the remaining 2 rounds, but until then, have a fantastic rest of your evening, and thank you once again for joining me in the interview room.
Cheers, Paul. Oh yeah, and just before I go, quickly, well done to Adam. He's changed his car back to Honda, and he's right back on the pace. But yeah, thanks a lot, Paul. See you next time.
Likewise, see you. So here and there from Michael Elise, the Mark Sykes Designs driver, who in the end turning things around after what was a bit of a muddle from qualifying in to race number 1. Explaining there that in qualifying he couldn't quite find what was the opportunity to be able to get him his qualifying laps without a driver behind potentially pestering him, and in the end when he did let the drivers behind him go, well, it was only good enough for P16, but knowing how close the field was and therefore having to do the work the hard way. However, things would come to strike him horrifically in race number 1 with a disconnect effectively with iRacing crashing, and therefore having to essentially use the time in order to get himself set up and make sure all the equipment was working for races 2 and 3. But from there, come from P26 to finish P14 in race 2, it'd be enough for P4 in class, and more importantly as well, what would be that option to be within the reverse grid, and will P5 be his starting position for the final race of the day, and we didn't hold back in converting it into a P2 overall with some brilliant moves, particularly that move on Kieran Sharp on the final lap, going into the turn 10 hairpin and getting the job done to pick up some huge points. And the momentum continues to build for the Veloster driver, and with 2 rounds to go, as he's admitted himself, he can't win the championship, but he can use the remaining rounds as the building blocks for a Season 5 Prime Championship campaign. And I think right now those building blocks are very nicely settling in and moving into place as Michael East continues to prove to be an ever-present threat for the battle for the Prime podium. But now coming on to our second interview, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be hearing from the man himself, who was only mentioned moments ago, of Adam Delmont, as the Mark Sykes Designs Pro Class driver gets ready to join me in the interview room, and we'll get to hear his perspective on what has definitely been a great day in terms of performances, with a double podium and then a 6th place in class and a P12 overall to wrap things up. But as he joins me now in the interview room, we welcome Adam Delmont, and good evening to you, Adam. It's been a little while since we've last caught up, but what a way to return to racing in the Honda Civic Type R, in the fact taking pole position plus also the win in race number 1 and a 3rd place in race number 2 and a hard-fought P12 in race number 3. You couldn't ask for better than that.
Yeah, good evening, Paul. Yeah, it has been a while on it. Yeah, mate, I've enjoyed tonight. It's been a good laugh. I actually really enjoyed it.
Oh, indeed, and well, we've enjoyed it seeing you really push it to the absolute limit out there, and starting with qualifying, putting the car on pole in the end, albeit in a qualifying session which was locked in. Well, I say locked in very tightly, but then you managed to shatter the sky, being the only one of only 2 drivers at first to set a 203, and the end 4 drivers set a 203, but you managed to take pole by 2.5 temps. What was the secret?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm running a bit lighter in quali than I think a few of the other guys, because let's face it, I've not exactly had a brilliant season, so I was a bit lighter. But do you know what? I've struggled in practice, and then I don't know, I just seemed to get it together in quali, and that particular lap I think was the last lap, and you know where you just know, and I just zoned out, but I was conscious that I was catching the cars in front, but when I realised, I think about halfway through the lap, I thought, I'm not going to catch him, I've got enough time. And yeah, I just zoned out, mate, and yeah, managed to put a right lap in. When I saw time, I was like, yeah, happy with that. And they, just over 2.5 tenths clear of everyone. Thought, yeah, happy with that.
Oh, indeed. And with that and going into the race, I mean, on the front row with you, you had Dan Mould, who was carrying quite a lot of success ballast, but he wasn't going to make it easy for yourself. And off the line, it looked close, but you held the lead going into turn number 1. And for all the race, it was a cat and mouse chase, albeit I think with some automated slowdown penalties also mixing things up.
Yeah, well, me and Dan were in chat while we were racing anyway, so we were already saying, look, you know, just let's not get daft, work together. Dan's got a lot of weight, so it made sense for him to just sit and let me tow him round. Yeah, and then, you know, I think P3 back started battling and started getting a little bit tripping over each other a little while, and it gave us a little bit of a gap. So then it was just a case of just keep pushing on and just, you know, try and extend the gap out for a nice calm finish, to be quite honest. Obviously looking at potential of getting a good start for race 2.
We're doing a brilliant battle in race number 1 between the two of you. Then going into race number 2, now in a car that had 56 kilograms added to it. And at first leading, but it looked as though that lead was always going to be under threat with the weight in tow.
Yeah, I made a mistake on the cold tyres, just carrying that little bit of extra weight, and yeah, dropped me to second. And then I tried to hold on to second for as long as I could, really. Gave Dan a nice little break, let him get away, Scarper off up road, and just tried to hold it as long as I could, which, you know, I still managed to get P3 with the weight. So once, I think, was it William, once William got me, I knew I'd struggle to get him back. I could keep with him in the tow, but coming off the tight right-handers that both go uphill, there's not a chance that I could ever get a run on him down into the next corner. I mean, the Honda's not exactly the quickest out of the bunch, as we all know, and then you throw in weight, and so it was just damage limitation, but, and yeah, P3 managed to hold on to a podium, so yeah.
So a double podium, including 1 win, and then going into the final race of the day, of course, you'd be carrying quite a bit of success ballast still in the 3rd race, and then the top 18 inverted grid. Looked as though it was going to be a bit of an uphill battle, but you also had some very hard fighting company around you, including the likes of, say, Joseph Doble and William Guthrie.
Race 3 were mega, you know. I really enjoyed that battle with Joe. Amount of times he nearly had me, and then I just managed to just carry it round outside. I was driving thinking, I bet he's cursing me here. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed that. It was a really good battle. Yeah, I was hoping to get a little bit higher, but I think there was a bit of commotion and cars coming together in front, and it broke us away from the pack of cars in front, because I think we would have caught them if not for that. So it just left us in our own little pocket, really, didn't it? And yeah, it was hard. It was a hard fight, but yeah, really enjoyed it. Like I say, I've enjoyed all night, because obviously I've not had a really good season. Switched into the Veloster, just couldn't get on with it. Really struggled. And then switched back to the Civic last week, and straight away was podiums last week, fighting at the front, and again this week. So, you know, when you're just kicking yourself, Paul, I'm like, I should have just stayed in Civic. It's my bread and butter. I should have just stayed in it.
And just on that, of course, switching back to the Honda, which we know you have a strong affinity for and have gone very well in the past, this circuit being a mixture of hairpins and straights, the Honda not the fastest on the straights, but the strongest on the brakes and the hairpin. How does that work out versus the other cars, in your opinion, given the fact you've almost got to leverage the brakes more and more each and every time and try and just force other drivers to miss out on the braking zones?
Yeah, that's essentially it. Yeah, you've just hammer the brakes hard and as late as you dare, and the amount of times it does trip people up, because you'll see them, you know, they're gaining on you, and then on the brakes they'll try and match you, and you'll see them just you know, push on that little bit too much behind you, and next minute, you know, you've opened up a couple of tenth cushion coming off the corner, which usually is enough to at least be able to again outbrake towards the next corner. By the time they've caught you up, you've just got to play it Civic to its strengths. It loves to over rotate, and you know, the direction change with the Civic and the brakes are its strong points. You've just got to use them as best as you can. You know, get car rotated early, get on the power early to deficit the other car's straight line speed, so that you're with them when you need to be. And as long as you're, you know, within a tenth or two, you can have a send with Civic from a tenth or two back on a hairpin quite easily. Especially if you know you've got your pressure dialed in and you know exactly where to brake. You can, yeah, brakes are amazing on it, Paul. Sincere.
We definitely would seem that way, and I concur with you. Really able to brake as late as possible in the Civic, and therefore fight hard for those positions. And like you say, enjoying those battles with the likes of Joseph Doble and William Guthrie, and they were at some of the centre of our attention throughout the race. But come the end, a P12, and like you say, perhaps some other places creeping late with all the battling and the split in the field. But still, a solid day today, and 2 rounds remain. Next up, it's Willow Springs Raceway in the US of A. How are you feeling for a visit to California?
I'm feeling good, mate. I'm happy again. I'm happy. I'm back in my Civic. I'm happy. I'm looking forward to the last rounds. I know this championship is you know, it was never going to be anything. I'm way off. So I'm just going to have a little bit of fun, see what I can get out of the car in these last couple of rounds, and mainly look towards next season, really. And obviously not be a moron and change my car halfway through season for some unbeknown reason, just to change back again. That'd be a good start.
Well, still, sometimes you got to experiment, and that experiment didn't quite work out, but it's good to see you back in the car you know and love. And well, we look forward to seeing how you get on in California a week from today. But just before we do let you go, is there anybody, Adam, that you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast tonight?
Yourself, as always, Paul, for mega broadcasts. They are great, and I do enjoy watching them back. Jamie and all the admin and everybody at NXTGEN and all their affiliated sponsors. I can never remember all off the top of my head. And yeah, teammates and all the drivers for making it good fun tonight.
Well, Adam, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you join me in the interview room. Congratulations once again on a great set of performances, including a pole position and a win in race number 1, as well as a 3rd place on the podium in race 2. We look forward to seeing how you can maximise the strengths and minimise the weaknesses of the Honda at Willow Springs Raceway in a week's time. But until then, enjoy the moment, enjoy the victory, and we'll see you on circuit a week from today.
Cheers, Paul. Good night, and see you next week.
So hearing it there from Adam Delman, the Mark Sykes Designs driver, who definitely today right back in his comfort zone and demonstrating just how potent the Honda Civic Type R can be in the hands of a very capable driver. And the 37 driver there really talking out in qualifying, whilst he may not have had success ballast weight in the car, maximising those qualifying times and also finding the right place to go for that ultimate lap. And in the end, also discussing the fact that whether it be in qualifying or race condition, using the Civic strengths, which is its brakes and also its ability to rotate very rapidly through the hairpins in order to be able to maximise its performance, and doing exactly that time and time again. And that's how he was able to pull off the great results today. And well, the question is, can he do the same at Willow Springs Raceway and end this season on an even bigger high? We'll have to wait and see a week from now. But coming on to our final interview of today, ladies and gentlemen, well, it's going to be a pair of interviews, in fact, very shortly, because we will be hearing from the combined pair of Matthew Sheraton, who was originally on our schedule, but also he is going to be joined in the interview room by Aztec Racing teammate James Massaskow, and we're going to bring them in very shortly as we get ready to hear from the pair who've had very different fortunes today, it must be said, but it's always good to do a double interview of our drivers. And as they get ready to join me in the interview room, we'll hear their respective perspectives, as now Matt and James both join me in the interview. Good evening to you, gents. Appreciate you've been waiting some time, and thank you for your patience. And what a challenging night has been for Aztec Racing as a whole. For yourself, James, constantly battling towards the back end of the field and trying to fight for a spot inside the top 20. And Matt, for yourself, having to deal with technical issues in race number 1 after a difficult qualifying session, but then turning things around very gradually in race 2 and then taking the overall win in race number 3. You couldn't make this up in terms of the story for the pair of you.
Yeah, I really don't make it easy on myself, do I? Yeah, it was what a night. Absolutely what a night. I mean, like I said, at one point I was like, I'm not going to do any of these races because my PC was just having absolute nightmare. But luckily, and it was even worse as well, considering the fact that, well, I've been a bit of a melon and got myself enough penalty points to do a pit lane start. And then, I mean, missed that because I disconnected. And then race 2, starting at the back, I was like, all right, let's just have some fun. Let's see what we can do. And then got myself into, obviously, that reverse grid positions. And then luck came my way. You pulled 18, put me on pole, so thank you for that. And then, yeah, race 3, literally made the Honda as wide as it can be. Brick wall moment. And then, yeah, overall win. I can't ask for anything more.
Oh, most definitely for yourself, Matt. And meanwhile, for yourself, James, looks like it was a tough night on the whole, just constantly trying to find the pace in the car, and Twin Ring Motegi just not complying.
Yeah, no, it seemed to take me at least 5 laps to sort of find any sort of speed in each race, which is a little bit annoying. A few bumps here and there across the night. But overall, yeah, struggling for pace a little bit on my return. It's good to be back. Certainly got the real touring car treatment tonight, that's for sure. But thoroughly enjoyed my return and in a new car as well, so that was great. But yeah, struggled for pace around the track. I'd literally purchased the track, God, an hour before the race started. So yeah, a nice new challenge for myself tonight.
Indeed, so new challenge for yourself, and then coming back to yourself, Matt, with regards to the qualifying session. Of course, P26 in the end, not really getting too much time out there on that circuit. But this Honda as well, it seems to go very strong at this circuit if you could find a way to maximise its brakes.
Yeah, well, obviously qualifying. Well, A, I missed it completely because of my technical issues, and B, I wasn't allowed to qualify anyway because penalty points made me gave me a pit lane start. So yeah, so I had to sit qualifying out. But yeah, we're back in the Honda. I finally decided to throw in the towel after a lot of very mediocre and not races in the Elantra. It just could not absolutely grasp how to drive that car. But yeah, back in Honda, or literally first. Obviously, we had it at Zola last week, but obviously, instance and all that, just not a great weekend. This weekend, yeah, this is an excellent track for the Honda because it is, well, the track is just smooth, lots of hard braking zones, so it really appeases the Honda's like strengths in the brakes and just how smooth the car is to drive. Like you have to literally have a very smooth driving style to drive this, which I enjoy because it means I have no issues. Like the car, I know the car won't just step out and fight me, which I enjoy. So yeah, so the Honda's brilliant round here, and overall for me it's my best car, and I'm glad to be back in it.
Well, then it's great to see you back in the car. And then coming to yourself, James, for race number 1, with Matt not able to make it on to the grid due to technical issues. For yourself, a battle to P22 in the end. But it looked as though for every step forward, there was a bit of elbows out action and the prospect of being pushed a little bit backwards as well. And this circuit not easy to overtake at.
Yeah, I know a lot of hard braking zones. To be fair, are the main spots to get past, but yeah, it's quite a tight track. You can't really go more than single file, which caused a bit of drama here and there with me. But yeah, a few silly lunges and silly maneuvers, but it's all part of racing. Wasn't my night tonight, so yeah, again struggling for pace a little bit, but yeah, a bit bumpy, but that's touring cars.
Oh, indeed. And well, then coming on to your race number 2 with a P26 finish in the end, a difficult second race, albeit finishing on the lead lap, but I think a P26 that you didn't expect. I think it might have been a few bumps and scrapes early on in the race.
Yeah, no massive bump halfway through the race. Yeah, it's a little bit of a tough one. Still need to watch it back a few more times to really understand what happened. But I've sort of come into turn 1 and behind Kent, and yeah, I went to go on the inside, and then he moved over a little bit, so I thought, oh, never mind, then I'll go back to the left. But just as I does that, we come to our brake marker. We both slam on the brakes, and he moves back left a little bit, and go slam into the back. Not blaming him, more blaming myself, to be honest, because I'm the one who's gone into the back of him. Bit of a silly incident in the hole, but yeah, completely ruined my race. That did. Completely bent steering, and almost stayed ahead. I think it was Jonathan Collins who he pitted me on the last corner because of my damage for the last little chicane was so sketchy. I was like, I've just held it all the way, and in the very last corner of race 2, had a bit of a moment and a half spin, and he managed to get past. Furious with myself about that. But yeah, it wasn't that great of a race, that one.
But still, you try to get the most out of it, and that's what it's all about. And speaking of trying to get the most out of it, coming to yourself, Matt, race 2, of course, starting from the very back of the field, but a rise to P18, although, once again, having to fight your way past a good number of your rivals, including the likes of, say, Paul Scott and company, but nobody wants to just give places up willingly, and again, having to find places to make overtakes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, race 2 was fun. I absolutely enjoyed that. I'll be honest, I enjoyed it more than I did race 1, even though the results are completely 2 different things. But yeah, it started at the back. I just thought, we're already in a bit of a pickle. Just have some fun. Let's see what we can do. You're back in your favourite car. You did well. Last season proved you and me and this car can do very great things. So yeah, literally. I mean, obviously kept it clean on lap 1, avoided the incidents, and just really, I think 9 times out of 10, and I'd getting overtakes was just playing somebody else's downfall. Like, someone else would make a move on the car in front, get it done, force the other car wide, and I'd just sneak through, like, thank you very much. But wasn't really trying many moves on myself, but just sort of, well, nicking what everybody else did. I mean, I had a good one on, I think it was Matthew Addy, where I just sent it up that little S complex. That was quite fun. We had a nice little battle there. That was enjoyable. I mean, yeah, not to make too many mistakes. I mean, I'll hold my hand and say I did make one on the last lap when obviously I think it was Ian Manners and Nick Clibbins decided, both got a bit messy at the hairpin. I thought, well, now's my opportunity to get past 2 of them, and then unfortunately it didn't work out that way, and I did sort of put Ian Manners, they're facing the wrong way. That wasn't intentional. I will hold my hand and say I did muck that one up. I didn't realise there was another car on his other side. I thought he was just going to go back onto the racing line. So I tried to follow him. And yeah, obviously it's just resulted in that. So sorry, Ian, if you're watching. Yeah, other than that, just very fun race. And yeah, made a lot of moves.
Well, indeed. Look, so with all that enjoyment, we then come on to race number 3. And starting with yourself, Matt, of course, being told you'd be starting on pole for the final race of the day, what was your reaction at that point?
Well, it was half and half. I did literally yell out, "I am on pole," in very much excitement, and then that was followed by many poos because I realised that yes, I'm on pole. However, Isaac Doble was behind me, Michael Lees, and obviously everybody else who's quicker than me. So I was like, this is a very wide track. There are lots of fast people behind me. I am going to have to work very, very hard in order to hold them off. And yes, and that is true. I did work very, very hard. I finished that race. I was going so slow on the in lap because I was just like, I was out of breath. I was absolutely sweating. Yeah, for those that say sim racing isn't physical, I will prove you all wrong in a heartbeat. But yeah, when you drew 18, first was the first time I've ever been lucky. But yeah, absolute blessing and giving me a great result.
Woody, it was a fantastic drive, and that battle between yourself and Isaac Doble in particular will stand out for seasons to come, I reckon. And we'll come back to that very shortly. James, from yourself, starting P26, 4 places gained over the distance of the race. Track temperatures were coming down as well. It looked as though the playing field had been levelled a little bit between you and your rivals, given the fact the Elantras that seemed to struggle towards the end of the races now were able to maintain their pace for longer. Plus, also, you were made to push even harder in the Honda in the final race.
Yeah, no, I mean, yet another race with some more damage. Couldn't get away from it tonight. But yeah, to be honest, I was just trying to see what Matt was doing at the front. I didn't quite get the stream up, but yeah, after I had a bit of a knock, I was like, oh, should I just pull over and watch Matt's race? Because yeah, cheering him on. But no, logged it on. But yeah, obviously the pace was quicker with the temps. Set my fastest up of the day. But I just couldn't go faster. And even with the lower temps, I seemed to sort of hit my maximum that I'd sort of almost found in race 2, race 2 before the damage, race 1, near the end. And I couldn't really get past it, which was a little bit annoying. But I guess that comes with a lack of practice, especially when you're racing people who've done all these rounds so far this season. And fully committed to it, whereas I'm only here for 1 round. So yeah, enjoyed that last race, but yeah, was more nervous and anxious about what was going on up the front.
As coming back to what was happening up the front, Matt, the battle between yourself and Isaac Doble, which raged lap after lap. We saw you make it very clear to Isaac, and indeed everybody behind, including Kieran Sharp as well, that going up to each and every corner, you would be on the defense, sometimes pulling to the inside, one before you've even cleared 50 meters away from the previous corner. I mean, signposting that early, you're going to make the car incredibly wide's one thing, but then also doing it so successfully another. I had to ask, just how do you do it? Because everyone else seems to find ways past in the end, but for yourself, that Honda Civic, it just seems to be the widest Honda Civic that's ever visited Japan.
Yeah, answer to the question, I have no idea how I do it. Everyone always asks me when I do something crazy, like, how do you do it? I have no clue. I just do. It's like a sixth sense at this point. Yeah, no, that fight of Isaac, very tense, very great. Isaac's a fantastic driver. I had a couple of good fights from last season, always clean, always fair. Yeah, for a guy so young, he's bloody quick, and yeah, well done to him. Unfortunately, no, he got 3rd, so yeah, well done to him on the podium as well. But yeah, literally, like I said, at the moment he's quicker than me, so I thought to myself, I am not giving him any opportunity, any window. So literally, every time we come out of corner exit, I am putting pretty much the car millimeters from the grass. Like, I am not giving him any sort of invitation to get on the inside, because that's this track in a nutshell. You get on the inside, you've pretty much got the move. I don't think there's many places where the outside is a better option. So yeah, coming out of every corner, like especially turn 1, 2. Obviously, our lines were different. He would be right up the back of my car. So I was like, that's it. I'm keeping it to the inside. Not giving him any sort of invitation whatsoever. I mean, he threw a few dummies, which did throw me off, which is fair play, but still managed to hold on to those positions. And then, yeah, ultimately, at some point, he lost it to Kieran, and that's when, well, for a short period of time, I actually was quite happy that Kieran made that move, because, well, it gave me a bit of breathing room, but then, obviously, Kieran's a pro, he's very quick. I found that one out, so he obviously didn't take him long to hound me in. So it had to be another absolute defense masterclass, and luckily made that work. Obviously, yeah, come the end of it, through a great defense, let Michael Lease up on the insides. Again, gave me more breathing room and allowed me to, well, I say sail home. It wasn't really. They were still all hounding me, but yeah, pretty much get across the line on the final lap in front. So, happy days.
Oh, 100%, and a well-earned win come that final checkered flag of the day. And as you mentioned earlier, absolutely exhausted come the end of it, and what a stoic defence. Now, with only 2 rounds to go, of course, the racing continues, and both your championship campaigns, whilst they're not right up at the top end of the Prime class, still campaigns that are continuing to mature. Starting with yourself, Matt, William Springs Raceway awaits us in the penultimate round. How are you feeling for it?
Indecisive. I've owned the track for a very long time. I pretty much bought it when I heard that it was going to be on the calendar at the start of the season, but I still haven't turned any sort of lap on it. I know, obviously, it's a fast track. Excuse me. Whether it will suit the Honda, I have no clue. I'll have to obviously get it on the track and find that out. But yeah, I think these last 2 rounds, I'm just obviously getting results will be good, but overall just have some fun. Like, obviously my endeavours near Lantra have just thrown me back down the order. Like, it's kind of annoying because obviously after my performances in last season, I was hoping to be gunning for at least top 3 or even overall in the Pro-Am Championship. But obviously that's not been the case. That's just racing for you. You can have a good season, you can have a bad season. So yeah, we're back in the Honda. I think it's just going to be, at this point, have some fun and a testing session to re-affiliate myself with the car, to be absolutely quick come the start of next season, because, well, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but I've heard some things about some of the tracks. I've heard there's a few tracks back that I actually thoroughly enjoy, and I'm usually pretty quick on. So yeah, get more seat time in this car, be absolutely quick in preparation for hopefully just hitting it out of the bag next season.
Whilst we can't comment on what's coming in Season 5, all of that and more be revealed come the end of this season, ladies and gentlemen. We definitely say the calendar is currently afoot, and it's interesting to hear your perspective in terms of building up your preparations for Season 5. And we heard that from our Mark Sykes Designs drivers we interviewed earlier. And then coming to yourself, James, Winter Springs Raceway a week from now, can we expect you on the grid? And if so, how are you feeling for it?
Maybe you might see me on the grid. I don't currently own the track, so it really depends on how I feel an hour before the race again. Would I, or maybe more in advance this time. I am around. The final round of the season, I'm not in the country, so that's a shame. So I missed that one anyway, which is typical because that's the track that I do own, and was quite looking forward to coming back for Bathurst. But yeah, I'm not in the country, so that doesn't help. But yeah, Willow Springs is a nice track. Obviously, gives old Top Gear flashbacks from, I think it was like a paintball fight they did with fighter jets back in the day. That's an old throwback. But yeah, it's a good track and probably really good fun in these cars. So I don't know. We shall see.
Well, indeed, well, fingers crossed, because we'd love to see you on the grid alongside your teammate Matt, and both of you competing for glory in the Pram class. But gents, just before I let you both go, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast tonight? Starting with yourself, James.
Yeah, well, I'll go through all the sponsors that we have. But yeah, massive thank you to all our sponsors: Woodland, RSR, Demon, Tweaks, Claremont, especially those, and then everybody else at the team who's always around, keeping the vibes up and keeps everybody motivated. And then obviously massive congratulations to Matt on his win tonight.
And as for yourself, Matt?
Yeah, likewise. I mean, thanks to the team. I mean, overall, well done. We've absolutely, well, pulled something crazy here today, so absolutely well done to all of them. Yeah, the sponsor in the car. Obviously, yeah, it's nice to have sponsors, makes the car look much more professional and, well, overall a very lovely car. And then, yeah, I think as well, thank you to everyone watching, friends and family. My phone, I can tell they were watching. My phone did slightly explode when I came across the line in race 3. So yeah, thank you to them. And yeah, overall, thanks to yourself, Paul. Brilliant commentary as per usual. And then thank you to the NXTGEN staff for putting it on, running it so smoothly. It's just overall fantastic.
Well, gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you both join me in the interview room this evening. Congratulations to you both on your performances, albeit they may have been hampered to an extent at certain points tonight, but nothing can detract from the fact that you both gave it your all, race to race, when the technology and the car would allow. And of course, a special mention to yourself, Matt, for taking the win overall and in the Prime class in our final race of the day and becoming what is another name, albeit a very limited set of names, but another driver in the Prime class to have taken an overall win. I do believe our 5th driver to ever do so. Well done to you both, and we look forward to plenty more from you in the rounds to come, starting with Willow Springs Raceway next week.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Paul.
So hearing there from the Aztec Racing pair of Matthew Sheraton and James Smanskas-Gow in the Pram class, the 390 and the 660 driver, and will differ in fortunes today, albeit you could say that both of them, for their first couple of races, or at least qualifying plus race number 1, both of them had a degree of difficulty. For Matt, it was all about the fact that not permitted to take part in qualifying due to what was a qualifying penalty and a pit lane start for the first race of the day, albeit in the end, that in itself being scuppered by a technical crash going into race number 1, so not able to actually make it to the grid and start the race. And then going into race number 2, it was all about a recovery drive, and then what followed was the fortune with the reverse grid, but then also a fantastic defense for the win in the final race of the day. Flip side of the coin, of course, being that for James, it was going to be an opposite of fortunes. Able to put it on the grid for qualifying and race number 1, but admitting only having 30 minutes of experience of the circuit in the build-up to qualifying, so therefore having to learn on the fly, and that learning went in for then damage in what was races 1, 2, and even 3. Cost him dear, particularly in race number 2, but still not giving up, and in the end, finding a way on home. But for both of them, still plenty to come, and well, if we see both of them on the grid at Willow Springs Raceway, they'll be giving it their all, and whilst they cannot win the Pro Championship necessarily, they can still end the season on the high with 2 rounds to go. And could we see Aztec Racing pull off some more blinding results before all is said and done? Well, as we see the lights there of Matthew Sheraton flashing and blinding us in the replay footage in the background, you never know, it could just happen. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our interviews for today. You've just heard from Matthew Sheraton for Aztec Racing in the Prime class, and also teammate James Smanskas-Gow, who joined us as a special adventure. And then previously you've heard from the Mark Sykes Designs pair, albeit separately, in the Pram class firstly of Michael Leese, and then afterwards Adam Delmont in the Pro class. Thank you to all of our drivers for joining me for a post-round interview for today, and congratulations to all on their performances at the Japanese circuit of Twin Ring Motegi. We look forward to seeing what they can do in round number 9 next time. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for us to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have enjoyed today's show, and perhaps you're sat there right now wanting to know more about the next-gen racing community, perhaps you want to be on the grid for the next instalment of the NXTCC, or what else we've got planned for 2023 and onwards, well, the best place to firstly go to is our official website. That's at nextgenracing.co.uk, and as our website appears on screen right now, it is the home of clean and fair sim racing for all, and we at NextGen have been hosting leagues for almost the best part of 17 years now, and as we go from strength to strength, we have moved from a split of console and PC-based sim racing to predominantly, well, in fact solely now, PC-based sim racing on the iRacing platform. But the point being, as we continue to expand our horizons, we'd love to have you be a part of the racing journey with us at Next Gen Racing. Whether you're just a casual member of the community, perhaps on the grid for one of our series, or wanting to get involved in supporting us, feel free to check out our website, and that's number one place to go to if you want to find out more about us. But if you're not perhaps a fan of going to our website, perhaps you want to go elsewhere, and particularly if you're a bit of a social media person, then the best place to go to social media-wise is our official Facebook group. That's at facebook.com/groups/NextGenRacing. We can find out all the same details as previously mentioned on our website, but also there you can find out a little bit more about our staff members and our admins in terms of what we do, not just on the virtual circuit, but also on the real circuit, with a good number of us being real-life track marshals, volunteers around the United Kingdom, and even some of us also being racing drivers in real life. We'd also like to take this moment to say a big thank you to our sponsors, particularly our title sponsor for this season of the NXTCC, that being Higgins Automotive. Their Facebook profile page there on screen in terms of the URL. And well, about Higgins Automotive, if you are in the market for a car that is as good as new, then Higgins Automotive is the place to go to. Specialists in car restoration, the team's meticulous efforts to see many a car go from salvage to sale faster than you can do 0 to 60. And if you'd like to know more about Higgins Automotive and see what stock they have available, be sure to check out Higgins Automotive on Facebook, their web address there on screen. But now, ladies and gentlemen, our attentions will turn to round number 9 of 10. Tuesday, the 17th of October, is the date that's set in this year of 2023, and our drivers will be making their way for the first time in the NXTCC's history to the state of California for the Willow Springs International Raceway. Recently introduced to iRacing as of earlier this year, it's a circuit that hits hard and fast with its big Willow layout, and as our drivers take on the circuit that keeps the revs high and the miles per hour soaring. The question will be, who will be able to achieve glory before going into the season finale in Australia? We'll find out then on Tuesday the 17th of October, and until then, thank you very much for watching, but that's all we've got time for today. We've been Next Gen Racing. I've been your host and commentator, Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain of Spit, depending on what media you follow me on. And until next time, remember to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, but most importantly, remember to stay on track. Good night.